Oh yeah, for another, it is May 1st. May 1st. Grateful, thankful. I'm gonna pay my rent and I'm gonna have to survive May with $844, $844. So pay my rent, pay my electricity bill first today. And that's how we're gonna drill it with that rock and roll, you know, overtime every time. For the butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, grocery store clerks, and the farmers, the electricians, the plumbers, and all those on the road now on these steel toes, auctioning everything that I'm wearing now. And you know how we're gonna get, of course, and turn the head left and right, and that's how we're gonna get doing with that. And gotta get it for the lovers, the butchers, the bakers, the truckers, the nurses, the farmers, and the firefighters, and all those involved in the production, distribution of food, and all those, of course, now across the North American Collective Civilisation complex. I tried leaving at 8, then of course I did geopolitics. I postponed and I did some more geopoliticking, that is analysis and study. You know, I have Asperger's, and I'm gonna drop a little bit of that garbage here. And that's how we're gonna get interjection and turn the head left or right and in the sun. Chilly day today as well, a little bit on the morning side, but gotta get it on the go, and that's what we're gonna get doing on the movie side of things, and that's how we're gonna get that appellation to get it on the road for the butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, and grocery store clerks, and all those, of course, involved in the production, distribution of food, and all those, of course, now on the road, the firefighters, the plumbers, the electricians, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, and all those on the morning. 9:14 a.m. in the morning. Gonna get it for that 9:14 a.m. in the morning, and that's how we're gonna go get it with that. And we got that 3G, 4G, 5G, we got that sunlight, we got some satellites in the sky, and we got this independent ISP artist athlete with the backpack on, and thank you for that donation yesterday. I have, you know, so yesterday in the first video you see that I pick up some food there at the community center fridge, and I got some of that pork pate, which I tried. It was kind of peculiar tasting, a bit bitter, but I gotta say it was interesting tasting. You know, supposedly came from France, from what I read from the label, and that of course was something was added on my food security. And I gotta salute the food producers. You know, the food security starts with the farmers and the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, the grocery store clerks, and all those involved in the production, distribution of food, and all those, of course, who get it on the go with that. And that's how we gotta get doing now for the plumbers, the electricians, the bakers, the nurses, the firefighters. Gotta send them some LOV. Gonna wait here until it crosses. Gonna check out. It's supposed to go a little bit on the hot side, and that's what it is with that. And that's what now we gotta go across the street. And we're heading to my second home, Mount Royal, my second home, Mount Royal. My second home, Mount Royal, my second home, Mount Royal. You know, that's where we're heading, and that's where we're gonna go get it on the do. For the thinkers, the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the truckers, the farmers, grocery store clerks. You know, I have Asperger's, so I'm an Asper. I'm a bit on the weird side, but you know, Asperger's, again, is not a mental illness. It's a neurological mental divergent condition. Makes us that our brains are different, and so we have these kind of more difficulties in when we socially interact with others, but we have our strengths and force and our powers as well, and usually those revolve around our special interests. And my holy trinity of special interest, also known as obsessive, but if I use the terminology obsessive, would not render justice to, of course, what Asperger's is. So my special interests are geopolitics, sports, fitness. Dancing is my favorite sport. Dancing is my favorite sport, and rock and roll. So those three preoccupy my holy daily activities on a daily basis with intensity, super focus, and super concentration. So that's what our special interests are. And for somebody, it could be history, art, or cars. You can know everything about a car, the mileage per hours, the date of manufacturing, you know, the production, the weight, the speed. You know, if the aspects usually have those special interests, and that's 24/7. So, but geopolitics, of course, is a whole universe, and it's constantly changing on a daily basis because geopolitical events are always happening and occurring now. As I march east, east, east towards the sun, with the sunshine going on, and it's always transpiring on the events, transpire on a daily basis, perhaps not at the local level, Montreal, Hawk Island, Quebec or Canada, but at the multinational, high level, global level, they happen. So here it is, the fridge. I wish I could make a big donation to just fill the fridge up, and that's what it is with that, and that's what I wish to fill the fridge here. Just a little bit on that filling on the side. Oh, somebody put a little bit of that. What are those? Fruit Loops. I'm gonna take 2 and leave 2 for somebody else. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We got a little bit of the Fruit Loops, and that's a good donation. Somebody put it there, and I'm gonna make my own dessert with that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So now I'm gonna do a little bit. I can do a meditation because this is greatly related to, of course, our food security. So this contributes to my food security, right? Food security starts with the food producer, absolutely. So I'm going to be discussing the geopolitics again of food security, and of course I'm going to have to say that I survived 2024 on less than $11,000, on less than $11,000, $11,000 less than 11,000 last year, 2024 being May 1st today. For the workers, special for the workers march, you know, for the teachers, the nurses, the doctors, the grocery store clerks, all involved in the production, distribution of food, those laying those towers in, I guess it's 4G, 5G, going on to the 666G now, mostly 4, 5G, but not so much on the 3G anymore, I guess. But the geopolitics of food security, I discussed, as I discussed last time, the sandwiches, and you see that more and more people have, his fellow citizens, putting their flags up, like there in the corner. You see the Canadian flag, that maple leaf, red and white, and you know, I have that tattoo of Canada tattooed on my right arm right there, but with the maple leaf and the word. So here I'm gonna first check what it says. So it says made in Canada from domestic and imported ingredients. Made in Canada from domestic and imported ingredients. Made in Canada from domestic and imported ingredients. It's written there, small print. So that means, of course, that is made in Canada, but of course it was made from domestic and imported interests. So basically, where those imports were made from, I don't know for sure, but they were probably made from somewhere where I could say the sugar or whatever, the wheat, whatever the ingredients are. We can actually read the ingredients, and that's what it is with that. So the ingredients are, where I can read it, in the back. So ingredients: sugars, whole grain corn flour, wheat flour, whole grain oat flour, corn flour, corn bran, oat full fiber, hydrogenated coconut and vegetable oil, salt, concentrated carrot juice, concentrated carrot juice, concentrated carrot juice, concentrated carrot juice, concentrated carrot juice. Now that's an interesting type of ingredient. I wonder where that specific carrot juice is from, you know. That's what it is with that, and that's what it is for the go. So the concentrated carrot juice is whatever the concentrated carrot juice was from. Boiled carrots, and when of course the labor or the machine involved to produce it, and the machines involved to produce it, you know, that's what it is with that. So, and then you have turmeric, a natural flavor, and you have concentrated watermelon, and then you have the concentrated blueberry juice as well, concentrated blueberry juice. So the blueberries also, because of course the juice it requires to be made from blueberries, you know. So you got concentrated blueberry juice for color. Hey, that's interesting. And you got concentrated Cuido juice. So you got those things which are there. So you got two types of juices, and then you got vitamins and minerals, iron nitrous oxide and thiamine hydroxide and other ingredients which we gotta be doing with that, and that's what we gotta get doing on the go, you know. So wheats and oats. So those are the ingredients of this peculiar, whatever the case. I mean, whatever those ingredients were, they're not if there's several countries, it could be several countries, right? It's not necessarily that it's just one country per se. In theory, it could be many countries put together and bundled up, and bundled up for the countries to be made from those imports. Carrots can be from Europe or from somewhere else, and blueberries can be from the United States. I'm assuming most of the ingredients are from domestic and imported. He said that it is from domestic and imported. So from domestic is local, Canadian. Canada, we have oats, we have wheat, so it can be that it is from domestic. Domestic it is, that is from Canada, or it could be, of course, that is from Canada and the United States. So we have to take that into account. I got 2 seconds left. I was gonna rush for it. So taking that into account, of course, that we have those ingredients, which of course we can discern in a discerning manner, because our main trading partner is still the United States. Regardless of other things, it is still the United States. The United States is still our main trading ally, and that's what we gotta be thinking about. That first and foremost, even if the tariffs are on. So consequently, we have the tariffs, which of course was the mistake, and that's how we gotta do with that, and that's how we gotta do it on the go, you know. So consequently, the tariffs have been imposed, which is a mistake. My granddaddy Trump, I would have not voted for Trump, but it was an imposition for that, you know, that the tariffs was a mistake. They were in actuality a mistake. I'm just gonna cross the street. So what I'm gonna cross the street here. I'm gonna go actually like in a zigzag, because I want to get to the bank, you know. And here I'm supposed to get priority, you know, because it's 10 seconds for me, but sometimes I guess priority is neglected in some ways, you know, to get priority, but whatever the case may be. So we can meditate on the ingredients. So my hunch, which is kind of like I would say an educated guess, is that the ingredients, most of them, the imported ones, come from the United States, right? That would be an educated guess. Nonetheless, it was made, the imported ingredients, they put them together in a factory, in a plant, and they had the machines, they had the labor. So the brains and the muscle, the brains being those who build the machines, right? Because it takes that brain to build all the machines, and civilization being a privilege, I gotta salute, you know, those who built all the infrastructure, you know, the underneath the ground, the miles and miles and miles of aqueducts to have running electricity, running water, and of course to have the running electricity and water. And of course all those are of course also tied in with the electricity, because I put electricity from Hydro-Quebec, go in my phone, right? So think about that. So all electricity here in Quebec is clean. It's from the hydro dams. We're about 63 dams of Hydro-Quebec, and our electricity is renewable, does not pollute, right? Because it's all water. So it's all from water. So that is something which I gotta salute. It's all from water, so all that brains and muscle which was utilized to build those dams. And my DRT is gonna build some more dams with that. So being that is a major politics of our geopolitics, because we're a North American collective, right? I love me some of those flowers there. So being that we're a North American civilizational collective, the Hydro-Quebec, the highways, all the plants, all the aqueducts, even public works, is a major component of geopolitics. Even it includes our jurisprudence, our security forces, and even this little box which I had here, contributing to my, as an individual citizen who's financially struggling, who lives with this neurodivergent mention known as Asperger's, and have suffered struggle consequently, survived and gave a KO to depression and suicide. So I was suicidal before 2017, crossing Canada coast to coast. Made me had an awakening, and I had an awakening. I said to myself like a voice, how many things to see, to do in Quebec, Canada, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, and across the North American Collectives Complex, or the North American Civilizational Collective across North America, to see, to do, to write rock and roll songs. So I started working out, and that event 2017 when I crossed Canada coast to coast in August and September made me establish a strong esprit de corps with my fellow Canadians, our family, Quebecers family, Canadians family, Quebecers family, and all my brothers and sisters in the 50 states. I'm a mystic as well, parallel to being a geopolitical, theoretical, honest, and theorist, philosopher, artist, an athlete, and mystic. I believe in reincarnations, and sometimes I was born a woman, a man. You get that 50-50 androgynous pansexual now. I was born in the USA 3 times post 70-76 and served in 2 different wars, 156 years apart, in 2 different wars. Same US Army, 2 different wars. 156 years apart, and now I'm pretty joyous. You know, today it's just financially stressed. See that the squirrel, somebody fed the squirrel a little bit of that good, some good peanuts for the squirrels, happy, content, just chewing away, share. There's a level of selfishness and altruism. Gotta be balanced, you know, gotta be balanced. I am not totally selfless. I like to volunteer to help out, but I'm not totally selfless. I'm not totally selfish. I try to be balanced in equilibrium in the middle, and that's why I try to be on the daily basis, you know. It's something sometimes which we have to do, and I have my own vulnerability and weakness, and certain things I am mediocre, average, and so, while I counterbalance in certain things with being great, super, and excellent at geopolitics. Being an independent geopolitical analyst and theorist again, I come back because I take great pride in my geopolitical analysis and work in all the realms of geopolitics 24/7. And of course that I predicted what's happening now back in 2019. I predicted what's happening now back in 2019. I predicted what's happening now back in 2019, October, November. I predicted on the horizon in the coming 7 years, so starting October, November 2019, that there's gonna be an international conflagration, aka World War III, which has been knocking at the door ever since the Ukraine, Russia, Israel, Palestine reigniting their conflict with Israel, Hamas, Israel, the Middle East, and potentially on the horizon, China and Taiwan. So those are complexes and complexities of a geopolitical nature, and there's subcategories, because geopolitics involves nation states, economy, finance, nation states, economy, finance, civilizational complex, geopolitical regions, and events happen on a daily basis. And you know, with globalization, you know, some say now with the so-called Liberation Day, Trump did a mistake by imposing tariffs since 2018 on aluminum and steel in Canada. That's when I kind of got out of politics. I was just coming out of my depression, and Trump imposed tariffs on Canadian aluminum and steel. 10% on Canadian aluminum and steel. 10%. They're joyous, happy. That makes me joyous, happy. And their joy, their security, and they're innocent, the children. So we gotta raise them in a North American collective, and I hope one day to publish my books. And I gotta give a salutation to the daycare workers, you know, who changed those diapers. Changing diapers in the daycare, I say that would be a protocol built there. Be headset for the Canadian-US Army Joint Fusion, you know, to change some diapers in the daycares, that would be something which we gotta salute, and which I guess we got a proposition for us as well to do complementally, or in consequence, I guess, to the consequential things of which we have of civilization and nature, not just the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, the grocery store clerks, the farmers, truckers on the road. And it's not all about millionaire athletes and artists. And Habs won, that's it, you know, 4-1, series over. But I guess we made it so far, so that was on a good. Give some charity. And NFL, National Football League, NHL, National Hockey League, NBA, National Basketball Association, MLB. Gotta give it for that charity, you know, and gotta get on that love. And hey, salut. Bye. Yeah. That's what it is with that. Oh, beautiful flowers. What? And that yellow, just adorable. So I'm somebody who loves yellow flowers, and red's my favorite. Wear it every day somehow. If it's not visible, it's underneath, and that's what we're gonna do there with that, and that's what we gotta do on the go, you know. So something which we gotta do, and something which we gotta be admiring. See, like houses and the little bird there. Just sees that. I thought at first it was like a fake bird, but they're actually real, and that's what you gotta go doing with that, and that's what you gotta get doing, you know. Sometimes we just gotta be on the doing side of things, and we just gotta appreciate all the things we have, you know. And I'm somebody who doesn't like violence. I don't like violence. I don't like violence, and I lived my own trauma. I live with scars, plenty of scars on my body, internal and outside of the whole body. And I was attacked by surprise a few years ago, so I've been hyper vigilant, and I've been in that World War III mode ever since I predicted in 2019. Consequently, back then when I predicted that there's going to be an international conflagration, aka a World War III, I live, of course, in that World War III type of situation, type of alertness, because I predicted what's happening now back in 2019, and I'm also proud of having created a super workout training program system, which requires no equipment, and if it requires no equipment, and it's not necessarily easy, but it gets easier as you do it. But I have myself perform more than 372 sessions, 372 sessions, you know, 372 sessions of my own workout training program system to do it with that. So that is something which I gotta be doing for the beautiful tulips there. So you can check it out. It's called officially the General War Integrated Total Body Training System, aka the Dragon Army Workout. General War Integrated Total Body Training System, aka the Dragon Army Workout. The General War Integrated Total Body Training System, aka the Dragon Army Workout, and that's what we gotta try it out. Also known as the 300 workout, is simple, effective, efficient. It increases general overall fitness, and it requires no equipment. And now back to the geopolitics of this little box. There were 4. I took 2 because I took one for me, one for my anonymous friend, and it says made in Canada from domestic and imported ingredients. Now there are several questions, and see how my Aspie work, because I have Asperger's, which is not a mental illness. My brain is different. Aspie brains are different, and I'm part of this tiny small fraction of the population which lives with Asperger's, and it's not even 1%, not even half of a percentile. It's 0.44% compared to the 99.56%. Our brains have a variance. Our brains have are different. So there's a variance in the brain composition. And so some things are hard for us. For example, it seems weird, strange, and odd, but personal space, you know, that 2 feet, 3 feet, a meter, whatever the case may be, it varies. But some Aspies, and myself included, I have to work on it constantly, tend to approach and get so close to people, like 2-3 inches instead of 2-3 feet, very close to the face. So some people might get intimidated, concerned, alarmed, said, what's going on? Or we tend to repeat things 2-3 times, or we tend to also have echolalia. So somebody might say a phrase, a sentence, a paragraph, or some words, and of course we might repeat the same words exactly verbatim per verbatim that somebody says. So it's just how these characteristics, because they're not symptoms. Symptoms is for a mental illness, but these are characteristics, not symptoms, because symptom is for an illness, because Asperger's cannot be treated by medication. I require a little support around some that seem very simple things around the house. That's beautiful white flowers there. Certain things which seem simple, come very easy to some, come more hard for an Aspie, are more difficult for Aspies, you know. They're more difficult for people with Asperger's. So I struggled, you know, and unfortunately in my community, which is a small fraction of a community, it of course requires some support, but some support depending on what. It requires some certain level of support more than others, depending on what. So as an individual Aspie, I have my own things which I am pretty mediocre, average, and so at, but I'm also great at some other things, and that's what I'm great at, and that's what I tend to to do all day, basically. Workout, geopolitics, rock and roll, geopolitics, workout, train, or dance. So either I dance, I work out, I train, I exercise, or I do geopolitical analysis and theorizing and revision. So those main three probably by like 93% of my whole daily activities, routines, rituals. But I'm not reticent. I am can be okay. We're pretty flexible with change. I'm not somebody who necessarily resists or would resist change, although depending on what, some aspects, can resist and can be more difficult for certain changes. But right now, my financial stress, being in debt and financial economic, getting some checks would be a little bit on the go side, so that would alleviate and enhance my work in the other things that I do. So I require certain support on certain things, and I'm also an artist, so I'm always interested of what are they filming here, maybe French Canadian co-production, that's all you gotta go do for the co-production with that, and you gotta get a little bit of the co-production 24/7, because I create dialogues and movie ideas and scenes, because I'm also an artist, but I can be pretty difficult in social interactions. I just don't understand, but those social communication ways differ between Asperger's, who me being part of the neurodivergent community, and the neurotypical, and certain things are just more difficult, following instructions sometimes got to be repeated twice, 3 times, and that's just, so it's constantly building bridges. I create new bridges now. I've been depressed, suicidal, and I was attacked by surprise, and I'm just looking for friends with benefits only from now on. Pledge your allegiance, and support for my dream. My dream, the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom, is fundamentally a call to all willingly loving pledge your allegiance for the public-private partnership of the Dragon Army, the Dancing Goddess, and the Dragon Kingdom to create for Canada, United States joint Dragon Army to operate by Providence, SSD, see written right there, for security, service, and defense, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, security, service, and defense, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, and coast to coast, ocean to ocean, security, service, and defense, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, and for the Dancing Goddess Army to of course, to do the environmental education and work to clean the oceans, clean the valleys, clean the mountains. And for years and years and years, I've been cleaning the mountain there, and I had my depression. I was depressed, suicidal, and lost friends. And I am pansexual, so if you're black, white, man, woman, you want to LOV with me, you gotta be 18 plus. 18 plus. 18 plus only. Crazy. We're not, but we are neurodivergent, and it's not a mental illness. It's just we tend to have these characteristics, which sometimes include being clumsy or odd, eccentric in certain things, It's just how we are on the daily basis. So my hypervigilance sometimes is, I'm hypervigilant. I can be intense and focused and concentrated, but that's, of course, whatever the case may be with that, and that's my call to all, to create and pledge your allegiance to create the Dancing Goddess and the Dragon Kingdom, which is fundamentally to create a 63 leagues, 63 legions, 50 plus 13, because we got 10 provinces and 3 territories, We got 10 provinces and 3 territories, and that's all we gotta do, On these steel toe boots, auctioning the old ones, I got exactly the same ones, and auctioning them, So, being the fact that I auctioned the boots for a billion, gonna give half, 50%, to my anonymous sister friend who wasn't my friend because of the money, but, So I'm looking with friends with benefits only. Exchange massages, because I really need a massage. I work out, train, exercise a lot, and I've been craving a massage therapy since I survived COVID in 2020, February, March. By the way, survived COVID, February, March 2020. Survived COVID in February, March 2020. Survived COVID in February, March 2020, and survived COVID in February, March 2020. 5 years plus, more than 5 years now. So I live carpe diem it every day. Carpe diem it every day. This will be my last day, and yes, 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 that is nice yellow flowers. So beautiful, you see. Try to smell. Wow, these are really gorgeous. These are really beautiful. I don't know what the name is. I'm trying to figure out the name, but they are really nice. Let me see. There's not scent though. They look like they smell, but they actually don't smell. They're really nice. I don't know the name. I'm trying to figure out the name, but you're like a bush flower, you know? Bush flower. Yellow bush flower, I would call it, but I don't know, maybe the crow knows, you know? The crow knows the name. So I'm gonna go south now. I'm gonna take a deep south. Turn your heads left and right before you cross the street. Turn your heads left and right before you cross the street. Because even if, you know, even there's a stop signs, you never know. The brake malfunctions, the citizen driver presses the accelerator instead of the brake. So on the island of Montreal, the HAWK island, second most populated city in Canada, the 7th most populated in North America. Here, you know, freedom requires some prudence and some vigilance, you know. Freedom requires some prudence, some vigilance, and that's what we gotta do sometimes, you know, just turn the heads left or right and make sure you traverse the street safely, properly, for myself, for you, for us, because I'm in the public, so I got added responsibilities, duties, and obligation. If I would have stayed in my underground lair, I would have not had the same responsibilities, duties, and obligations as I do now. So that is something also that I gotta double check, you know, also that I double check with that. So back to Asperger's again. It's not a mental illness, a neurological mental divergent condition. I gotta give a shout out. I haven't had a donation since. I had some work last year, but made only $50 plus the government support. Not a lot. Even this month of May 1st, special North American Collective Workers Party. Let's get it for the Dragon Army. Support the dream, which is fundamentally a call to all willingly loving, pledge your allegiance for the public-private partnership on creating the Dragon Army, aka North American Integrated Legion, 63 for SSD. For SSD, Security Service and Defense, and for SSD only, and the Dancing Goddess Army, the North American Integrated Dance League, the North American Integrated Dance League, for...
Well, I'm thinking maybe when I go by one day, it's on our way. I can ask him how much these things cost.
Let me see what's written here. Nationalism? I'm not a nationalist. I believe in the North American civilizational complex. My dream is mostly binational, but it can be extended to trinationalist, because Mexico is part of North America, and Haiti, Dominican Republic, and other cities, the Bahamas and the islands are part of North America, you know. The islands are part of North America. You know. The islands are part of the North American civilizational complex, or what I call the North American civilizational complex, the islands of North America. More than that, for the NATO complex. The NATO complex, you know, the NATO complex, or the complex of NATO. I'm just gonna go see if the water works there, because I feel a little bit of hydration coming in. I guess I gotta hydrate, HYDRATE, so I'm gonna try to get it on the hydration there. And here you can come have some physical education. And here, Montreal Island, 2.5 million people. It's like a small city, basically. Eh? It's like it's a big metropolis. It's not a small one, so you can come and have fun and meditate and here jog, work out, train. And there's a nice building there called the Empress, which I hope it will be rebuilt, and I would invest in it to make it, color it up some rainbow colors, because I like bright colors. But you see it in my past video, it has always triggered past life regression memories for me. It's there, has the ancient Egyptian goddess, and I will to build the Forgotten Goddess Temple, Forgotten Goddess GODDSS Temple, and the North American People's Coliseum. The North American People's Coliseum, you know. the North American People's Coliseum for Sportus in Perpetuities. And here's one of the most extensive in terms of the size, and so many things that dogs can play here with. So this is a nice dog park there, the nice dog park right there. So it's really nice. You can bring your dog here, and it's big for small, big dogs, and you can get it for the dogs there if you so are inclined to get it on the dog. And my cousin there jogging a little bit. I always love to see people working out. My family here, Quebecers, Canadians, you know, you're my family, and I'm only looking for friends with benefits, and that's what it is, you know. Friends with benefits, pledge your allegiance. Mostly exchanging massages, you know. Because I've been craving a massage for like 5 years now. But you know what? Wall Street, business, finance the firefighters of North America, firefighters, the firefighters, the nurses, and the public workers who pick up the garbage, sanitation. Those three first. Then other public workers, because it takes a public-private partnership. My dream is fundamentally a call for a public-private partnership, because both the public and the private on the financial levels we're at, paradoxically, my DRT, debt refusion theory, best for the 21st century new financial concordium of the North American civilizational complex. I don't want to get too technical or academic and verbose in my intellectual, in my verbiage and verbosities, which of course that is something which Aspies have a tendency to utilize too much language and linguistic use, which is too overly academic, philosophical, and intellectual in nature. But that is a nice blue, I gotta say. So, you know, it's something which makes me predisposed, as many Aspies, part of this tiny minority, to those verbal intellectual capabilities, which of course are consequently not required for a certain point. Oh, this moves. I thought it was made of metal. It's actually thought it was made of metal, but don't lean on it. You can't. If you lean on that, you're gonna slide open. I thought it was metal, but it's actually kind of plastic. I wonder what type of plastic it is. Some type of plastic, but I'm not sure, you know. Got my youth there with the crossing on the streets, you know. I'm gonna take it on the side, and I'm gonna have to go across the street, maybe there next, because I'm on a bit on the high pace military. And so again, Asperger's is not a mental illness. It's a neurological mental divergent condition. I'm just awkward, weird socially, you know, the interactions, and can have those appellations, which this is interesting. Quite a piece of art here, nice art. Artistically, you know, it's nice. Just kind of simple, I'm trying to find a meaning. I actually see a meaning in it. It's very linear, very linear. So I gotta turn my head left and right, of course, again, and kind of go across the other side. Actually, I'm not gonna cross now. I'm just gonna meditate on the trucker. See how my brain now works? Due to the Asperger's, my brain now focuses on geopolitics. See, I see the police there. Somebody gotta sing that rock and roll for the police. For the police, ain't nobody perfect. That includes that me and you and the firefighters in the corner. For our boys and girls in blue, I gotta sing it, ain't nobody perfect. That includes that me and you, as I gotta sing it. 50-50 for those who take their second chances and do their criminal rehabilitation. So my brain now works. I meditate that they're going north and south, so they may be approaching for the border, and they're coming for the border or coming from the border, and that's what it is with that, coming from the border or going for the border. That's what it is, you know. They're coming from the border, doing from the borders, or coming with goods and services, or whatever the case may be with that. And that's what we're gonna be doing with that, you know. And they're bringing in the groceries and the goods. And my brain now focuses from a geopolitical perspective, of course, which we are, in terms of the geopolitical perspective and the geopolitical realities of today, that we're open for sabotage and espionage. And I gotta send some love, you know, to the firefighters. And we need new trucks, and we need a Dragon Army for SSD, security, service, and defense. And hear the joyous children. Turn your heads left and right. If the children are joyous, safety. See, the children are innocent. They're innocent, and they're they're happy. They're happy. I'm happy. That's what matters, you know. That's what matters. That's what matters. The children are innocent, happy, and their joys, and that's what they gotta get doing with that, and that's what we're gonna get doing with the love, and that's what we gotta get doing with the love side of things. And that's what the child said in French. They were singing kind of, c'est quoi l'amour, c'est quoi l'amour, c'est quoi l'amour, translated as what is love, what is love, what is love, you know. So I guess it's many things, eh? There's different types of loves, you know. But intellectual, academic, love for the civilizational complex of North America, Quebec, Canada. You gotta love the firefighters, butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, grocery store clerks, and all those involved in the production, distribution of food. And I gotta sing for those who make their criminal rehabilitation, you know, their second chances, who turn their life around, man. Turn their life around. I wouldn't want to be a judge to take your freedom. If you're black, white, or rainbow, or homosexual, or whatever the case may be, I wouldn't want to, you know, take your freedom. Freedom is something new, you know. Freedom is something new under the sun, you know. Mr. Solomon, freedom is something new. Freedom has to be insured. That's where the Dragon Army comes in, with freedom via SSD, security, service, and defense. Freedom with joy. Freedom in action. Freedom with life affirmness. Life affirming. There's so many states we got to see. That's why I got to mass finance to see the states. 50 states and Canada coast to coast. I haven't seen, even in Montreal, there is so much. Yesterday I relatively go mostly to the mountain, but I gotta salute the firefighters and the butchers, and that's what it is with that, and that's what it is on the go. So the firefighters, butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, grocery store clerks, you know. So I went to the river. By a side I haven't been in years, at least in 7 years I haven't passed by that. I have a vague memory of going there in the corner about 8 years ago, maybe 9 years ago. And you know, I have blackouts. Of memory. Beautiful white flowers. Blackouts of memory symptoms, not a symptom, but kind of is. It's retrograde amnesia, retrograde amnesia. So I remember moving from a moldy place, lots of white, reddish, black, and green mold. Where I used to live in an underground basement, and I have like flashes, you know, of trauma and all sorts of trauma and whatever have you. So. Or the case may be with that, you know. But nonetheless, survived and moved. Was depressed, suicidal for like, moved. I think it's gonna be 10 years in July. I think so, or 2015 or 2016. And just blackouts and retrograde amnesia. Have problem remembering my life prior to moving from there. Boy, I know I graduated high school, I have a high school diploma, I have letters of reference, but just my memory, you know, just the memory, I clearly remember 7, then I go more than 7, 8, 9, 10, then 11, then it becomes like a blackout, you know, stuff like that. Sometimes it's trauma that causes it, or prolonged disease, and maybe it was the mold there. I was diseased, and the mold, you know, causing it, and whatever it is. Today, this past years, and having maybe COVID, because I had COVID. I thought I was gonna die. It was like death, pestilence, and disease. In February, I started feeling sick mid-February till about March 2020. More than 5 years. I had it right at the beginning of coronavirus. Again, I don't know what caused it. I know that before I predicted the national conflagration, and of course, whatever. whatever the case is, and I waited for my fellow citizen to nod and do the sign for me to cross, and that's when I crossed, you know. So sometimes memory comes back by another trauma, paradoxically. You lose it via trauma, usually concussion to the head. And I remember being attacked by surprise, fell, hit my head on the concrete in the Montreal Metro. Had a dislocated right arm. So my right arm was completely dislocated. I went to the Jewish General Hospital. They replaced it there. I was put on some meds, and I had my own Cillian pirate episode. My own Cillian pirate episode. So I survived, and I gotta salute the firefighters, you know. And I take a carpe diem it every day, you know. I every day carpe diem it, but I have hope for tomorrow. My dream, the dancing goddess in the dragon kingdom, is for today and for tomorrow. I believe to the table, besides the trillions of kisses created from the goddess, 718 trillions of kisses created from the goddess, 718 trillions of kisses created from the goddess, to build the forgotten goddess temple, and trillions of push-ups, hawks, and offer the construction workers with feet washing massages to build the North American people's Imperial Coliseum to be 11 times bigger than the Caesar Superdome. The Caesars Superdome, where it used to be known as the Mercedes-Benz, and it changed the name a few times, just like I'm in the process of changing my name. Although I didn't have the money to change it, and in the process of changing it, I guess, every day until I get the money financed to finally do it officially and to get it on that rock and roll side of things. And that's all we gotta get doing with that, and that's all we gotta get doing on the traversal side, and that's all we gotta get doing on the love side of things, and that's all we gotta get doing for the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, the grocery store clerks. And I would love to split 50-50 that house with my anonymous friend here. That house with my anonymous friend. That house with my anonymous friend. That house with my anonymous friend there, you know. That's what I will, to split. And now I'm going down because I need to go do some banking and see how we're on the mountain now, eh? On one of the three peaks, Mount Royal has three peaks: Mount Royal proper, Outremont, and Westmont. Now we're on Westmont, and now I'm going down. It kind of goes like down, like almost like it pulls you down, because you see how steep, and it keeps going down, because now we're on one of those three mountain peaks where I showed you from some cameras. So back to what I was saying, of course, is that my dream is fundamentally a call for a public-private partnership for the North American civilizational complex, to do it, of course, for coast-to-coast, ocean-to-ocean, for pleasure, purpose, and environmental action and education. And that's what it is with that. And here, you know, it could be on the dancing being my favorite sport, and here I get pulled down by it's like just going down fast, like it really pulls you down. You can feel the pull, you know, it just pulls you down fast. If you don't step on it, you gotta bend a little bit on that, but that's what we gotta get doing on the bend. And you know, I love those cranes, so I always meditate on cranes. I got a crane fetish. And construction workers, let's build the 444 Forgotten Goddess Temple, the Forgotten Goddess Temple, the Forgotten Goddess Temple, Forgotten Goddess Temple. And that's all we're gonna be doing with that. That's all we're gonna be doing. Turn the left, right, and center, left, right, and center. And those cranes, you know, just love cranes. Gotta salute the crane operators. I always love cranes, you know, something which I love, cranes. So let's build the Forgotten Goddess Temple, and let's build the North American people's Imperial Coliseum with that, and checking me some of those yellow flowers with that, and you know, I love cranes. That's it, that's all. Crane operators, free hugs. We're gonna cross the park on the other side, and it's another park here. You can come play. You gotta salute the public workers. You know, public workers gotta get that rock and roll with that. And it's butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, firefighters, those flipping some burgers, cheeseburgers in the daycare, changing some diapers. And I was thinking about them as well, you know, consciousness, and from the bottom to the skyscrapers, you know. And I've been rock bottom, been depressed, been suicidal. Sometimes I want to paint this bench some blue, white, or red. all benches of Montreal. Just bring me the tools and the paint, and I'll paint, especially those on the mountain, my second home, Mount Royal, and do some embellishments, because this paint looks like it hasn't been painted in 44 plus years. 44 plus. I love to paint in some colors. I like bright colors, but it can be another color, whatever we have, sometimes we work with what we're given. The body is a temple for pleasure and purpose. The body is a temple for pleasure and purpose. The body is a temple for pleasure and purpose. And this one is really nice for the children. Of course, I urge all to keep the protocols of public hygiene, disinfect, the hand sanitation, hand sanitizing to disinfect. But that is quite a beauty. That is quite unique, that one, the glider. You got a lion. Lions. That's a lion-like face. I don't pet them much because I sneeze, So
he's very particular with who he lets pet him.
yeah, especially poodles I can pet.
I think they're hypoallergenic.
That's why. Otherwise I sneeze, but I love them like from a distance.
No worries, that's fine.
Be well, be well. So that's what it is with that, and my fellow citizen there, and that's what it is, and that's what we gotta get doing with the love, so it's something which we gotta get doing with that, and that's what we gotta get on the appellation. That's what we gotta get doing on the appellation side of things, and that's what we gotta be doing, for the XYZ and XYZ, and that's what we gotta do on the go, and turn left or right, and we gotta get on the beautiful yellow flowers here, beautiful yellow flowers, and that's what it is, and that's what it is with that, so XYZ, and I know. Turn your heads left and right, and we're on Chesterfield, and just gonna squeeze one more time here and go, I guess, maybe not, let's see, yeah, gonna go here. I kind of love the buildings. You can see so much architecture in Montreal, where you can see so much beautiful architecture. You can engage in architectural delights in Montreal. Unique city, my city in this life and in another life. And back to what I was saying, of course, Asperger's being not a mental illness and neurodivergence, part of this tiny minority. I just have my oddities, eccentricities, and peculiar sometimes need for certain understanding and support. And unfortunately, there's a high unemployment rate for Aspies, very high, too much. Because still, there's been a lot of work in the 21st century, but there's still a correlation with mental illness, which Asperger's is not. Our brains are different. We can be intense, super focused and concentrated. And those special interests usually preoccupy our daily rights activities. But I can be super focused as well on other things. It does not impede. It's certain sometimes when I'm in geopolitics for hours and hours, or sometimes I just march and work out for hours and hours and hours, it can impede with certain things. But so I require minimal support, maybe just around the house. That's why my anonymous friend to I proposed, I'm gonna propose again, open special BDSM switch or whatever, open marriage, and I'm androgynous pansexual, so it's hygiene, consent, men, women, black, white, whatever the case may be. And this is another beautiful yellow here, but that's the peculiar part, that's the peculiar part with Asperger's, and that's just how we are in the domains, and how we interact with the world in our unique manner, being different, and our difference is sometimes an impediment to long-term employment, because I had many jobs in the past 7 years, and it was of course short-lived, and that's what it is with that. And it was short-lived, only a few weeks, a few days, sometimes a week and a few days, but sometimes we gotta get doing on that. You gotta love it on that side of things, so it's something which we gotta get doing, And here I am on the concentration side, and there we are, turning left and right, and See how in the red. So I was in the minus 500, but now I got some money to get it, but it's gonna be withdraw 500 for rent. $400, 420, 40, 60, 80, 500. So that's rent. So now I'm already in the minus. I gotta pay my electricity bill. Pay bills. Hydro Quebec. Bills. $75.44. $75.45. Upfront payment. So now I'm in the minus again, even more in the minus, but I paid my bill, so I'm gonna pay my rent and pay one more bill. So I'm gonna pay $93.93 on checking. On my Royal credit line. So that's it, that's all. Now I'm way in the minus. 333, 332, almost 332. My banking for May is done, banking for May is done, banking for May. In the minus, in the red, but so after paying rent, electricity bill, I gotta survive on, I'm in the minus 333, so up to 500, but I paid 20 bucks and I got 20 bucks. So I have to survive on $156, $156 for May. And I don't do drugs, I don't do cannabis. I still have for a while, but I'm gonna buy maybe a bottle of wine for the long Sabbath, and bread and bacon and cheese and affordable sweets. So that's how it is. That's how we done banking, RBC. Please give some charity millionaires and support this financially struggling ISP artist, and please disinfect the hands, you know. It's cold, but it's icky. Disinfect the hand. So hands are disinfected, hands are disinfected, hands are disinfected. And that's super important, you know, because there's microbes, bacteria, and germs, So I gotta salute the bus 44 and 31 there, 44 and 31 there, 44 and 31 there, you know. That's what it is with that. Now I gotta go all the way up, and I gotta find I got some more garbage I gotta depose, I guess there. Just gonna depose some garbage here. Make sure you put the garbage in the garbage, and the other one here, and you know, gotta get it on the garbage on the garbage, and the recycling on the recycling. And here we are. Gonna pay my rent to my anonymous friend, gonna pay my electricity bill. I already paid the electricity bill, as you saw, and I paid a little bit of my debt, $10,000 debt. So that gives me a bit of a way. But here, the farmers, the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the most important. Many people are financially struggling, you know, not just myself. So that's something which, of course, I gotta keep in mind, that it's not just me who is in a precarious financial situation, you know, but many are, and of course. I got 20 seconds, 19 seconds, plenty of time, I guess, you know, forget it on the go, but that's what it is with that. That's what we gotta get doing, you know. Sometimes you gotta be grateful. Gratitude is great for mental health and physical fitness, and mental health, and my joy, seeing those flowers there is something which is nice. You know, see, look at that. It's got red and yellow flowers. We got a red one here, you know, and I can go get some hydration, you know. I guess I'll wait until I'm at the mountain for the hydration, but nonetheless, grateful, thankful. Rent's paid and electricity bill's paid, and paid my other bills, so 3 bills. Banking for May, kind of the most important, was done on the 1st of May. Let's go for the North American Collective Workers Party, you know. Let's go for the North American Collective Workers Party, and let's go on the other street. I changed my mind to go here. I'm gonna go on the other street and go up by that side towards Mount Royal, you know. Towards Mount Royal. And I always wonder more information about 3G, 4G, 5G, because in a parallel life, I'm a super scientist, supercomputers, 3G, 4G, 5G, 6G, and satellites, and microchips, and coding is all that I do. Is all that I do in this life. Most. Of course, I gotta take care of the body and hygiene and work out and all the other things with that, and gotta get going on that with that. So basically, those yellow flowers bring me some joy. So in a parallel life, I'm also an Asper. I got Asperger's, but I'm a super scientist. I design, build supercomputers, ICBM rockets. Oh, I got 3 seconds. One, just in time. Just in time. Just in time, you know. Got exactly 5 seconds, so I said I'm gonna go across, and I crossed just in time with that, and that's how we're gonna get doing, you know. Butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, salutations to the truckers, train conductors. I gotta send them some of that good loving. And I'm gonna take the alley. Take the alley. Sometimes it's good to take the alleys, you know. The alleys, different roads, different ways. And you know, the Asperger's have a routine, ritualized routine, rigid, but not too rigid. I'm pretty flexible, pretty open to change. Oh, that was a good Habs game, though. It was okay. The game was, I didn't see the full of it, but we lost, so series over. Washington Capitals most likely gonna win the Stanley Cup, I would say. I think that they're top contenders because they're the top number one team. They finished first, so we made it to the playoffs. I'm happy with we made it to the playoffs, but I'm not gonna be overly critic, you know. That's it. That's all. Rock and roll, and the farmers, butchers, bakers, daycares are back changing diapers. So, and yours truly back to doing what I do, long vlogs and going to the mountain, meditating, and you know, I got some numbers there, 44. Makes me think of the 44 tunnels, which I am calling for the constructions in case of a thermonuclear war via the implementation of my DRT, debt refusion theory. So now I'm going to focus on the DRT, the debt refusion theory, because I brought it up, and it comes out of me being cursed with Asperger's, but it's super important that I discuss it in every video because it's an emergency situation. On this May 1st, on the work side of things, and they're doing a little bit of beton. Beton is basically the cement, you know, the cement, and they're doing some labor, and it takes some work, and it takes some muscle, takes some brains, and my DRT theory will enable more work. So let's go for the NACWP, the North American Collective Workers' Party, 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 you know, the North American Collective Workers' Party for the Arbeit, and you know, work, travail, and I mean, this is my work, my videos for the past more than 7 years, you know, raw and edited, you know, just meditating, and much of my philosophies, theories, protocols have been written down on different USB keys, but they're orated in an oral intellectual manner, which you can read the transcripts and print them, and I guess you can wipe your ass with them if you want. So the DRT, debt refusion theory, I would not do that because it would be rough but unhygienic, but that's a matter of the individual as well as the collective to make that 50-50 balance, you know, individual and the collective. Hey, beauty. So the DRT, you know, debt refusion theory. My right eye. I guess God is push the pebbles away, whoever threw the pebbles or dirt or filth, whatever you threw in my eyes. Then the clouds. So the DRT theory, the debt refusion theory, my brothers and sisters, focus on the principles of my call to implement the DRT, the debt refusion theory, 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 for the creation of the UE, the universal exchange unit. Super important, and I discuss it. And super important that now she goes up the mountain, so it's more difficult, to get it on the go, but that's what it is with that, and that's what we're gonna get doing, So getting a little bit of that yellow, something which we gotta be doing on the XYZ, and that's what we gotta get doing with the love, Here we go. That's all we gotta get doing on the love, and turning left and turning right, and so we gotta get on the go side of things, So something here, I could go up and down these stairs 300 times, up and down 300 times. As the Dragon versus Trump, it's a NAWCP May 1st special. North American Collective Workers' Party, 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 and that's how we do, So that's how we gotta get doing. The North American Collective Workers' Party. You gotta pledge your allegiance to our family, friends with benefits only, and support the DRT. There's no other way out of this financial situation, due to the fact that last year we paid 46.5 billion in interest. 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 46.5 billion in interest is the staggering amount of which we paid. 46.5 billion translates to 46,000 million, because a billion doesn't have 7 or 8 zeros. A billion has 9 zeros. That is consequently which we gotta get doing with that. So that is what we have to be doing. Consequently, we have to implement my DRT theory. The debt refusion theory is the only solution. Which we have to be implementing on the go. There is no way out of this but my DRT theory. Look at that downtown, beautiful skyscrapers, or something which resembles my DRT theory. It has to resemble it a lot. A lot of resemblance has to be made, because consequently it more than doubled. Public debt more than doubled. Not the debt per se, but the interest. So consequently, you gotta meditate on that, and it is the interest. I'm gonna wait a bit for the water before it gets a little bit clearer, and gonna wait a little bit. Thank you, workers, and you can check a little bit of that south. Now the camera is pointing south. You can see on the camera where we are. Sometimes we're over there by the river. The river is far away though. That's kilometers away, the river. So we are surrounded by a river. It's actually an island. Not a lot of people know. Some people, tourists, when I discuss with them, they say, oh, it's an island. Yeah, in Montreal it's an island. It's an island surrounded by a big, huge river. One of the biggest in the world, top 40, I think. Maybe 31st, I believe. We gotta double check, but it's one of the largest rivers in the world, St. Lawrence. It goes all the way to like halfway Canada to the Great Lakes. So it's hundreds and hundreds of miles, thousands if not thousands. And it goes into the Atlantic Ocean. Here we go, so. Oh yeah. Hydrate now. Hello.
Hi.
Can I ask you, is it really good, the sunrise on the
I
reaping?
just started it so far. I like it. So
Do you? I love the movies, but I never actually read the. I never actually read the book. I wonder how it is written.
yeah, I like it a lot so far. I haven't read any of the.
Okay.
I mean, I read the other ones when I was young, so I
Yeah.
enjoyed them. So
Yeah.
figured
Okay.
I'd give it a shot. I heard good things about it. So.
Yeah, I like dystopian literature.
Yeah.
Utopia as well.
Yeah.
I like both dystopia and utopia. It falls under more dystopia categories, but I would love to try. So this one is the third, eh? It's fourth?
She's going back and doing the prequels, so it's the second of the prequels.
Oh yeah, it's the
So
prequel.
it's her fifth in the whole series.
Before Katniss ever
Yes,
did.
it's
Before
about
Katniss.
Haymitch.
Oh, it's about Haymitch when
Yes.
he was the champion.
Yes.
And I don't remember which one because we're in the 60 something games.
I think it was the 50th or the 50th. Yeah.
Chronologically, I gotta double check, but
Yeah.
okay, Haymitch story. Yeah, okay.
Have yourself a good day.
Bye bye. Have a good one. So that is a nice book, of course, which we gotta get doing with that, and that's what we gotta get doing on the go, you know. So it's something which we gotta be reading. It's a dystopian book, of course, Hunger Games, and that's what we gotta get doing on that. That's what we gotta get doing on the lovebirds with that, and so we gotta get loving, you know. So it's gonna be there for the XYZ, and then we're gonna get doing for the love, you know, because we got that XYZ and XYZ, and my fellow cousin there on the bench reading and smiled, and that's why I inquired about the book Sunrise of the Reaping, Sunrise, because it's a great book. I never read the books, but I like the Hunger Games, you know. So my cousin, I consider Quebecers, Canadians, North Americans, my brothers and sisters in the 50 states as well, like a whole family, you know, a big family. But being neurodivergent, you know, I always lost a lot of friends. Making new friends, only friends with benefits, but it's something which my brain is different, so the way I ask questions or communicate can seem odd. And I forgot to mention, usually I do mention that I have Asperger's, not to be alarmed that I can be weird and awkward, and quite weird and awkward, you know. So that's Asperger's, that's neurodivergence, 0.44. So back to the DRT, debt refusion theory. So we have to implement the DRT, the debt refusion theory. We have to implement the DRT, the debt refusion theory. The DRT, there was a blue field there. The debt refusion theory, the debt refusion theory. So the DRT stands for D for debt, R for refusion, T for theory. DRT, debt refusion theory. Look at those beautiful flowers, so yellow. The DRT, debt refusion theory, includes monetary integration theory. So what is the motive behind me making the statement that it is the only solution? Hey, Mr. Carney, king is absent, time for the republic. King is absent, time for the republic. It's time for the republic. King Charles is not gonna go and not gonna come here if there's an invasion. It's people like me. Me is only for defense, never to be Dragon Army deployed outside of the North American collective, never to be deployed outside of the collective. SSD, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, Dragon Army, pledge your allegiance, SSD, DRT, beautiful flowers, yellow. For flowers, I love yellow flowers, and red's my favorite color, but I love all sorts of multicolored flowers. So the DRT is the only solution, or something consequently which resembles my debt refusion theory. Why do I make that statement? Because last year we paid 46.5 billion in interest. 46.5 billion, that's 46,000 million. A billion doesn't have 7 or 8 zeros, it has 9 zeros. That's how much interest we paid on the public debt. 46.5 billion, you imagine that. And of course the number went from from the fiscal year of 2020-2021 from 20.3 billion to 46.5. So in 2020-2021 the number was of course 20.3 billion. So 20.3 billion double with 40.6. Wow, imagine that number consequently. I love the music. Consequently, so the number was 20.3 billion in 2020, 2021. Last year, 2023, 2024 fiscal year, it more than doubled in 3 years. Yes, due to COVID, which I hadn't survived. COVID for me was like death, pestilence, and disease. Was like death, pestilence, and disease. Was like death, pestilence, and disease. I know when I say that I had COVID and it was like death, pestilence, and disease. I know it sounds like a rock and roll, hardcore, death thrash metal song, but that's how I felt. I thought I was gonna die. I thought it was my last chapter. Here I am, 1st of May. May Day. NACWP, Pledge Your Allegiance, North American Collective Workers Party. Let's go for the NACWP for Canada, United States views for the 63. Legions for SSD. Security, Service, and Defense for SSD. Security, Service, and Defense for SSD. For Security, Service, and Defense. To build the 44 tunnels. We're gonna need to implement the DRT 44 tunnels inspired by the Cheyenne Mountain complex and the Montreal Underground village, and inspired in case of a thermonuclear war. We're gonna need to build it ASAP. So we need to pay and do it ASAP. We need to do it ASAP. So the DRT, debt refusion theory, is the only solution which, of course, we can implement, or something which resembles my DRT theory, my DRT theory, my debt refusion theory, my DRT debt refusion theory. Something which resembles my DRT theory, the debt refusion theory. It has to resemble, consequently, the DRT theory, the debt refusion theory, for the creation of the universal exchange. That's what we gotta get doing on the XYZ, and that's what we're gonna get doing on there. That's what we're gonna get doing with XYZ, and that's what we're gonna get doing with that, so something which we gotta be on the appellation, so it's something which we gotta be doing on the love, and we have to be doing it because it's an emergency. It's an emergency state and scenario. It's gonna be an emergency state and scenario. It's an emergency state and scenario, and that's what it is with that. That's what it is with that. It's an emergency situation and scenario where we're approaching. Here we are, going down and going up. See, that goes up and that goes down. That goes up and that goes down, and there's the river there, the river there, the river there. So asking the land of the free and the home of the brave, the land of the free of the brave, and land of the free and the home of the brave, to of course hug like you never hugged before. Hug like you never hugged before. Is it too much to ask for the land of the brave and the home of the free? The land of the brave, home of the brave, land of the free and the home of the brave, to ask to hug like you never hugged before, the land of the free and the home of the brave, to of course hug like you never hugged before. Hug like you never hugged before. That is the main message. To hug like you never hugged before, and that's what it is with that. Hug like you never hugged before, and that's what it is. That's all. The implementation of the DRT is a must. The implementation of the DRT is a must. We're on the verge of a public financial collapse. Public financial collapse. We're on the verge of a public financial collapse, because our GDP didn't double while the interest paid on the debt doubled. It's possible today. Last day was the deadline for the taxes, right? Last day was the deadline for the taxes. Last day was yesterday was the deadline for the taxes. Yesterday was the deadline for the taxes. Was the deadline for the taxes. Yesterday was the deadline for the taxes. See that it goes down and it goes up, It goes up and down, so. Yeah, I know.
But the new
I know. So the DRT theory, debt refusion theory, integrates in it monetary integration theory. Yeah, that's a long time. That's great. That's beautiful flowers there. Oh, pretty nice. So the DRT and So the DRT, the debt refusion theory, for the creation of the UE, for the creation of the UE, for the creation of the UE, you know, the universal exchange unit is a must. Is a must. Is a must, you know. The DRT, debt refusion theory, for the creation of the UE, you know. So basically, the interest rates, interest payments have more than double. The interest payments have more than double, you know. The interest payments have more than double, you know. The interest payments have more than doubled. And that's where the problem lies, you know. That's the problem. That consequentially, more than doubled. Imagine that. 20.3, double is 40.6. 40.6. 40.6. 40.6. That would have been double. That's 46.5. 46.5. 46.5. That's what it is. 46.5. That was the interest we paid last year. Obviously, the same mathematical financial principle applies from the macro level at the public level, which is the whole Canada, Canadian public finances of Canada, to the individual. Me as a citizen, you as a citizen. Me, you saw I don't have credit cards. I have a credit line. So I don't have credit cards. I have a credit line. So no credit cards for me. I pay 10.44% interest. But somebody who does, let's say citizen XYZ, if he, she, them, whatever the case may be, if their interest payments more than double, let's say from 156 in 2020, 2021, 156 double is 312. If it goes to 333, from 333 to 333, that's what it is with that. So 333, that is consequentially the number, which is more than double, you know. So that's what it is with that, and that's what it is with the go. So basically, the numbers that it is, in the majesty of the numbers of the macro and the micro, the macro and the micro and the macro resemble each other in the mathematical financial principles. And mathematical financial principles are, of course, co-equivalent. They are the fact that the individual citizen will have to cut and reduce in spending if the salary doesn't double. How many salaries have doubled? The average salary increase in 5 years, 2020, 2025, has been 4.4%. 4.4%. 4.4%. That is a staggering, it's not a lot. Has been a lot of labor movement, but that's not a lot. 4.4%. That's not a lot. 4.4%. 4.4% is not a lot. But, and our GDP didn't double. Our GDP, our economy didn't double. It increased 1-2%, went even in the negative. We're approaching a recession. So that is the principle. Mathematical financial principle applies for both the individual, if his interest, his, she, them, whatever the case may be, if the interest payments double, the amount of interest that one has to pay more than double, then of course, if the financial interest more than double, then the citizen has to reduce the spending. I'm gonna turn my head left or right, and that's what we gotta be doing. Gotta turn my head left and right, gotta turn my head left and right, you know. Turn my head left and right. Consequently, the individual has to reduce the spending. Unless the salary doubles, even if it increases by 5, 10, 15%, there still has to be a double of the salaries. There still has to be, unless it doubles, that is, and it only increases by a few percentages, even 15, 20, 25 even, still the citizen has to reduce the spending. You're gonna have to cut maybe smoking, give up smoking, not buying booze, liquor, and going out to the movies, enjoying things which you enjoyed prior. That's just a financial mathematical principle. Consequently, also an individual, consequently in the public sector, because our GDP didn't double and we didn't have mass public financing and FDI, foreign direct investment, also we're gonna have to cut and reduce the spending. So Uncle Connie, what are we gonna cut? The national defense, Canadian Army, those who pick up the garbage, the compost, the recycling, 3 services in my neighborhood. Today I got to be back by 5 to take out the compost, and I worked on the compost a few years ago. So we're gonna have to reduce and cut the spending. What are we gonna cut? 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 There's that helicopter, chopper. I need 300 choppers, 300 new trucks, red, green, and rainbow with rainbow dragons, red dragons on it. For SSD total, coast to coast, ocean to ocean. So we're gonna have to cut and reduce the spending. Obviously, we're gonna have to cut and reduce the spending. What are we gonna cut and reduce? The RCMP, the mounties, the federal police, the local police, the healthcare. We have to cut something, because the interest payments have more than doubled in 3 years, and yes, due to COVID. The same financial principle applies. There's no other way out of this, brothers and sisters, but my debt refusion theory, the DRT, which in it integrates the monetary integration theory. So in my theory, in the DRT, in the debt refusion theory, is integrated the monetary integration theory. In my theory. So that's what it is with that. So the DRT, the debt refusion theory for the creation of the UE, the universal exchange unit, is something which we gotta get doing with that. Gotta get doing on the love, So that's what it is, So that's what we're gonna get doing, So we're gonna get consequently to turn my head left or right, and that's what we're gonna get doing with that, So gotta turn my head left or right here when I cross the street to get it on the do, and cross here prudently, That's how we're gonna have to do it. And see, there's the river there. There's the river. You can see the river. That's what it is with that. And you can see the river with that. And you can see it for the go, So that's why we gotta be on the side of things when we gotta get that DRT, that refusion theory, for the creation of the universal exchange unit. So I'm gonna explain it now as simple as I can. And again, there's no way out of this. Today could happen the beginning on May 1st, paradoxically, for the North American Collective Workers Party. Throw it out for the butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, firefighters, electricians, and the plumbers. All those involved in the production and distribution of food. All those involved in the production, distribution of food. All those involved in the production, distribution of food. The truckers, daycare workers changing diapers. That's how we're gonna get doing. So of course we're gonna take all the public and the private debt, 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 all the public and the private debt. So my 10,000, your 10,000, whatever the case may be. So we're gonna take it all the public and the private debt. My 10,000, your 10,000, whatever the case may be. I got $10,000 to the RBC. So all the debt, public and private, public and private, public and private. That's what we're gonna take. All the debt, public and private. That's what we're gonna do. All the debt, public and private. All that debt, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, coast to coast, ocean to ocean. We're gonna convert all the public and the private debt into US dollars, into United States dollars, into United States dollars, into United States dollars. All the public and the private debt into United States dollars, into US dollars. So coast to coast, ocean to ocean, all the public and the private debt, we're gonna convert it into US dollars. Added with the US, because it has to be implemented bi-nationally My DRT is to be implemented bi-nationally, Canada, United States joint, with the United States public-private debt. All that money is going to be the initial money supply for a new central bank. We're going to create the UE, U dot universal, E dot exchange, U dot unit. The UE, U dot universal, E dot exchange, U dot unit. The universal exchange unit, the universal exchange unit, the universal exchange unit. The U dot, E dot, U dot. The universal exchange unit, the universal exchange unit. The UE, the UE, the UE. U dot universal, E dot exchange, U dot unit. The universal exchange is going to have the value of the US dollar. We're going to set an interest rate level of 10%. It can be lower than 10% by principle, not less. It can be 3.33, 1.56, 7.18, 9.3, 6.1. Whatever the case may be, below 10% by principle, not higher than that. So this is going to be a new financial reality for the North American collective. We're going to have the universal exchange, because that's what the US and the Canadian dollar is. All money is for, it's an exchange unit, a unit of exchange fundamentally, to trade, to buy, sell, to buy, sell, buy, sell. So that's what I'm calling my soeur, brother Bill Gates, to get all the public-private partnership is necessary with, of course, with Microsoft and all the tech, all the public-private solution, BlackRock and Blackstone are part of the financial conglomerates, as my bank is, the RBC, top 5 banks of Canada, and top 10 North America, our Royal Bank of Canada, the Royal Bank of Canada, RBC, all banks. So it's going to require that work together, and that's what is going to be required for the creation of the UE. And with that money, we're going to be able to do lots with this theory, creating a new financial reality. We're going to be able to do lots of great things. We're going to be able to mass finance citizens' fitness, mass finance citizens to work out, to train, to exercise, mass finance citizens' fitness activity, mass finance the building of more hydroelectric dams, mass finance tourism across the 50 states plus 10 provinces plus 3 territories, is 63. We're going to create the 63 legions for SSD, for security, service, and defense. We're going to create the legions for the 63 for security, service, and defense for the North American collective complex, and that's what we're going to be doing. So we're going to be building the 44 tunnels in case of a thermonuclear war. For a thermonuclear war, we're going to build 44 tunnels, tag them with food, and make sure that they have plenty of food to survive. Cans, sardine cans that are good for 42 months, 7 years, 11 years, 44 years, whatever the case may be. So we're going to do lots of good in those areas, and we're going to be mass finance citizens' fitness, mass finance citizens' fitness, social activity, whatever the case may be. That's what we're going to be doing with the mass financing, of building, the rebuilding of the infrastructure like this one, rebuilding of the public parks, mass painting public parks here at the base of the mountain, mass painting public parks, and rejuvenating rehabilitation of the infrastructure, the bridges, the highways, the tunnels. And we're going to put our North American, Canadian, Quebecer Canadian, and North American criminal population to some work, part of the Dragon Army. Part of course, my ongoing philosophy is the North American Criminal Rehabilitation Act, 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 which is a must. And that's what we got to do on the conclusive side, and we got to do on the conclusion side, and that's what we got to get doing on that. So that's what it is, and that's what we got to be doing, and that's what they got to be doing on the left side of things. We got to do, sometimes we got to do, and sometimes we just got to push with LOV, and sometimes force is required, and sometimes force, and sometimes love, sometimes strength, sometimes understanding, and fight racism and other things by action, by action, and that's what it is with that. We're gonna fight racism with action, because 44, almost 45 million, and 13.3, 13.4 of my brothers and sisters are blacks, my neighbors included, and neurodivergence like me, so that is what it is with that, and that is what we're gonna be doing, so getting on that land for sale. We could build Dragon Army, Dancing Goddess Army, and with the DRT, we're gonna be doing the North American Imperial People's Protocols and finance their 2 complementary covenant and cooperative institutions, the Dancing Goddess Army, the North American the North American Integrated Dance League. The North American Integrated Dance League. And we're gonna be doing the 63 legions, SSD legions. Gonna sing some cadences later. The SSD for the principle only solely for SSD, security, service, and defense, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, all services, whatever, training, constant training, and constant services, whatever can be done, and for everybody got something on the table. And we're gonna build the North American People's Imperial Coliseum, to be 11 times bigger than where the Caesar Superdome exists now, also known before as the Mercedes Superdome, where one of my favorite Super Bowls was played. One of my favorite bowls was played a few years ago when my 49ers lost to the Ravens, but that's what it is with that, and that's what we're gonna get doing, so gonna get it for the black, for the white, for the rainbow, and build it 11 times bigger than the harbor ball, where the harbor ball was played, and that's what we're gonna get doing with the love. And I got rid of some garbage and got rid of some birds and constantly, it's North American complex, and all those who come join us, all those who come join us here, to get a little bit for the nurses, and build the North American People's Imperial. The North American People's Imperial Coliseum to be 11 times bigger than the game where the harbor ball was played, and the harbor ball was played, and also known as the blackout ball, aka harbor ball, aka bro ball, when my 49ers lost to the Ravens by 3 points. We're gonna build the North American People's Imperial Coliseum to be 11 times bigger than that existing. So basically, in other words, to be the biggest ever Coliseum sports arena for sportus and perpetuitus on the Canadian-US border, Canada-United States joint project, Canadian-United States workers, population relations, ratio per population, Canadian workers, United States workers. As we're gonna fuse, we're gonna get rid of the border, create a common passport, do a common currency. You can do a common passport, and we're gonna do a great census to see who's been living here since 2017, 2015, and 2020. So to get eligibility to serve in the SSD Force Imperial North American, the 63 Legions of the Dragon Army, 63 Legions of the Dragon Army, which we're gonna form, 63 for 10 provinces, 3 territories, and 50 states. Integrated coast to coast, build 44 tunnels, and do a census, and get coast to coast, ocean to ocean, do the census of the population, and get a digital ID. That's why Bill Gates Scorpio, and build big centers across, also maybe 44 or 63, or maybe more, 63, or depending how much we can, even more centers, 156 across the 63, in order to be able to monitor 24/7 everything that's coming in and out. I gotta know everything that's coming in from the airports, for total security, for total insurance of freedom, for total service, total security, TS, total service, total security. Look at the biggest, beautiful city, Montreal, Hawk Island. Go construction workers, go. We need to build more skyscrapers, and we need to build the North American People's Imperial Coliseum for sports 24/7 with universities, high school, and NFL, NHL, NBA, MLB, and universities, and build the Forgotten Goddess, Jodi DSS, Goddess Temple. The Rainbow People's Palace for my fellow neurodivergent and LGBTQ community. And the pyramid, the House of the Dragon, Scarlet, Crimson, or Scarlet, our shades of red, somewhere, wherever you want to build it, we're gonna build it together. And, my eye, God is good. Sometimes the left, sometimes the right. So build those 44 tunnels, finances is to work out, build more hydroelectric dams, and the 63 allegiance for SSD. Here I made it to my second home, the mountain, and encourage you all to work out, train, exercise, pledge your allegiance, our family, you know. So for me, coming here every workout, marching dance workout, what I do is, of course, a victory. And today's for the workers who made less than, I'm gonna say 33,000 in 2024, and myself included. Please don't pollute if you come here, and I need to do a big cleaning, and I need to switch to that French because we're in la belle province. Pour le français, je suis déjà à la montagne québécoise. Je vous encourage à faire de l'entraînement physique. Aujourd'hui, le 1er mai, je viens de faire dans mon travail bancaire, les 3, payer ma facture d'électricité à l'Hydro-Québec déjà. Je vais payer mon loyer, puis j'ai payé un peu sur ma dette. J'ai pas de carte de crédit, mais j'ai une banque, j'ai une ligne de crédit, que j'ai juste pour le faire moi-même. C'est quelque chose que je dois dire la gratitude aujourd'hui, tu sais, parce que le 1er mai, même si je vis une crise financière, mais je suis quand même joyeux, jovial, content, mais quand je viens ici, c'est ma deuxième maison, j'adore voir les gens qui s'entraînent, tu sais, mes cousins, cousines, mes oncles, toute ma famille, les Québécois et Québécoises, ben, je vous considère comme ma famille, tu sais, les Nord-Américains aussi, puis vous savez que moi, quand j'ai traversé le Canada de côte à côte en 2017, avant ça, j'étais en dépression, hein. J'étais suicidaire, j'étais en dépression, suicidaire. Puis je vais traverser le Canada, mais ça m'a fait sortir de ma dépression. Ça m'a fait sortir de ma dépression, là. Sorti de ma dépression, commencé à m'entraîner, fait de l'entraînement physique. Ouais, je fais de l'entraînement physique. Fait que ça a fait que j'ai perdu entre 80 et 93 livres. 80 et 93 livres depuis. Puis avant ça, j'étais en dépression suicidaire. J'ai survécu la COVID. La COVID, là, en 2020, quand je l'ai eu en février, mars, je pensais vraiment que j'allais mourir. Je pensais vraiment que c'était mon dernier chapitre. J'ai survécu. Je me suis vacciné. 3 vaccins, 3. That's it, that's all. 3, c'est tout pour moi-même. Chaque année, j'en ai eu un. 2020, 2021, 2022, 2022, 2023. Ben, je garde quand même les protocoles hygiéniques. Je pense que j'encourage les gens aussi à le faire, tu sais. Des fois, c'est bon, tu sais, garder ces protocoles. Tu sais, quand vous avez vu, tu sais, à la banque, tu sais, j'ai pesé sur les pitons. Tu sais, j'ai pesé sur les pitons. Je sais pas l'hygiénique, tu sais, de tout le monde. En tant qu'individu, moi aussi, je dois faire un effort constamment parce que, vous savez qu'avec l'Asperger's, j'ai cette condition de neurodivergence. Puis je fais partie de cette minorité de moins d'1%, moins de la moitié d'1%, moins de 44. C'est 0,44. 0,44. C'est 0,44 de la population, mais qui ont 0,44 de la population qui ont cette condition de neurodivergence. Moins d'1%, moins de la moitié d'1% même. Fait qu'il n'y a pas beaucoup d'autistes hautement fonctionnels, des Asperger's, il n'y en a pas beaucoup dans le monde. Fait que je fais partie de cette minorité, mon cerveau est différent. Fait que moi, je vois la chose comme d'une manière que les gens, je suis différent. Fait que notre cerveau, il est différent. Puis encore une fois, c'est pas une maladie mentale, c'est juste que notre cerveau, il procède d'une autre manière à voir les choses. Puis nous, on a des intérêts spéciaux, aussi connus comme les intérêts obsessifs, mais parce que si j'utilise le mot obsessif, ça rend pas justice à qu'est-ce que c'est l'Asperger's, l'autisme hautement fonctionnel, parce que c'est pas une maladie mentale, il n'y a pas de symptômes comme une maladie, c'est plutôt des caractéristiques. Je vais juste enlever j'ai un double manteau, fait que je vais l'enlever là, parce que sinon, ben, je commence à avoir chaud, puis c'est des choses que je commence à avoir chaud dedans. Fait que ici à ma deuxième maison, mais je l'enlève. Pas besoin de le garder, tu sais. Pas besoin que je le garde sur moi là, parce que ça fait bien sûr un point de trop. Fait que je veux pas avoir trop de sueur non plus. Parce que il faisait froid ce matin, mais là il commence à faire plus chaud. Ce matin il faisait 3 degrés. Fait que là si ça monte à, je pense que j'ai entendu 15 degrés en après-midi. Fait que je vais être ici pendant un couple d'heures, puis de la montagne, puis après ça je m'en vais chez nous, je retourne chez nous. Fait que ça va me prendre encore un couple d'heures quand je me rends ici à chez nous, parce que c'est bien sûr un gros voyage quand même. Hein. Un voyage que je fais assez régulièrement depuis bien des années, puis vous savez que tu sais, avec l'autisme hautement fonctionnel, tu sais, nous les aspis, on a une routine, mais moi ça me dérange pas trop le changement, mais savoir ou surtout le changement du point de vue de finances, des finances, de l'économie, du commerce, là, parce que c'est ça mon point maintenant qui me stresse le plus, ce qui me malcommode, tu sais. Puis bien sûr je prends beaucoup de fierté dans mon travail en géopolitique. Je suis pas juste un artiste, athlète, mais un analyste et théoricien en géopolitique. Fait que je prends beaucoup de fierté dans mon travail de la géopolitique. Puis je fais toujours référence à 2019, octobre puis en novembre. En 2019, en octobre puis en novembre, en octobre puis en novembre. En octobre puis en novembre, 2019, j'ai prévu la situation qui se déroule en ce moment, tu sais. Puis avoir fait là, cette conclusion, cette prédiction, qui a été prédiction, bien sûr, c'est l'avoir prévu, tu sais. C'est l'avoir prévu, bien sûr, que c'est dans le monde, bien sûr, dans le monde, puis c'est bien sûr que moi aussi je veux le faire, tu sais, dans cette conséquence de neurodivergence avec laquelle je vis, bien sûr que c'est pas une maladie mentale, mais c'est encore une fois un problème. Pas un problème du point de vue de ses caractéristiques, fait que c'est un problème.
Right.
That's what it is. Fait que c'est ça. Fait que bien sûr, c'est des choses, bien sûr, qu'il faut que je fasse. Et bien sûr, c'est cette condition de neurodivergence qui m'a donné beaucoup de souffrance, franche. Puis je vis avec mes cicatrices, tu sais. Fait que c'est quelque chose que moi-même, tu sais, en vivant avec les cicatrices que je vis, bien sûr, c'est une chose de neurodivergence laquelle je vis, puis je dois toujours faire, bien sûr, sur mes symptômes, sur symptômes. C'est pas des symptômes, c'est des caractéristiques. C'est des caractéristiques. Fait que là, je laisse les cheveux, bien sûr, un peu lousses parce que là, je descends. Fait que ces caractéristiques, c'est bien sûr des caractéristiques avec lesquelles je vis. Fait que ça fait que je fais cette condition de neurodivergence. Cette condition de neurodivergence. Et bien sûr, c'est cette condition de neurodivergence qui fait bien sûr, dans cette condition bien sûr de neurodivergence là, avec laquelle je vis, tu sais. Fait que c'est des choses... Et bien sûr, c'est cette condition de neurodivergence aussi qui donne un peu, de la puissance. La puissance se trouve dans mes intérêts spéciaux. Ces intérêts spéciaux préoccupent la plupart de mon temps. Fait que moi, c'était la géopolitique, le rock'n'roll, l'entraînement physique, soit la danse et mon sport préféré. Fait que dans la géopolitique, je dois dire moi-même, j'ai prévu la situation qui se déroule en ce moment. T'sais. J'ai prévu la situation qui se déroule en ce moment. Fait qu'en ayant prévu la situation actuelle, puis j'adore les petites fleurs jaunes comme celle-là, j'ai prévu cette situation de cette condition de la Troisième Guerre mondiale qui se trouve en ce moment, de la géopolitique. Et bien sûr, vous avez fait un beau petit tour ici, comme une belle cave. Ça a été bien, ça me fait penser à une vie antérieure, une vie antérieure qui s'est fait bien sûr de la vie antérieure. Puis quand des fois j'étais né homme-femme, l'ancienne Égypte, l'Empire romain jusqu'à maintenant, le 1er mai 2025, j'ai prévu la situation actuelle. Je prends beaucoup de fierté dans mon travail en géopolitique, puis il faut dire, bien sûr, encore une fois, que j'ai prévu la situation qui se déroule en ce moment. Je l'ai prévu en 2019, fait que je fais toujours référence à cette date, parce qu'en octobre 2019, j'ai prévu la situation actuelle qui se déroule en ce moment. Fait que j'ai prévu qu'est-ce qu'on vit maintenant, d'une façon, généralement, par chaque détail, mais j'avais prévu que sur l'horizon, soit dans les 7 prochaines années, il va y avoir une conflagration internationale sur une Troisième Guerre mondiale. Quand mon intérêt spécial, aussi connu comme obsessif, mais si j'utilise obsessif, ça ne rend pas justice à ce que je suis en tant qu'autiste hautement fonctionnel, aussi connu comme Asperger's. Je suis Aspi. Je fais partie de cette minorité de 0,44%. Même pas la moitié d'un pourcentage, même pas 1%. Même pas 1% de la population vit avec cette condition. Fait que c'est vraiment rare. Cette condition de neurodivergence. Ça fait que je vis avec ses intérêts. Je vis avec être bizarre des fois, être étrange, être un peu sur le côté, un peu pas mal raidé un peu sur le côté, mais j'aime pas la violence, je n'aime pas la violence. Je vis en hypervigilance. J'ai beaucoup de cicatrices, j'ai plein de cicatrices. J'en ai des cicatrices sur mon corps. Je me suis fait attaquer il y a une couple d'années dans le métro de Montréal. Je suis tombé, j'ai cogné ma tête. J'avais le bras disloqué, je suis allé à l'hôpital juif. Ils m'ont replacé le bras droit. Ils m'ont mis sur des médicaments pendant un couple de jours. J'étais dans un coma, là. J'étais fou. C'est quoi, ça a été mal. Je pensais que vraiment j'allais mourir aussi. Je pensais encore une fois, je dis, je meurs dessus, tu sais. Je suis puis j'ai de la perte de mémoire, j'ai de la misère à me souvenir de ma vie avant d'avoir déménagé d'une place. Il y a beaucoup de moisissures, noires, vertes, rouges. Ben comme la moisissure, là. Tu sais, la moisissure peut causer des maladies. Des fois, la perte de mémoire revient. C'est soit causé par un trauma, une concussion qu'on appelle concussion en anglais, un trauma crânial ou par une maladie. Mais j'ai de la misère à me souvenir de ma vie avant d'avoir déménagé, d'être là. Je sais que j'ai le secondaire, là, mais ça date depuis longtemps. Là. Le secondaire, puis des références, de papier, là, puis toutes ces choses comme ça. Fait que je sais pas, bien sûr, que ça fasse dans l'affaire là-bas. Fait que bon, pour vous dire, ici sur l'île de Montréal, ma vie dans une autre vie, puis dans une autre vie, puis dans une autre vie, puis dans une autre, c'est sûr. Dans une autre vie, et dans un autre, les corbeaux, mes amis, pas beaucoup d'amis, mais vous chante, prêtez allégeance les gens, vous êtes famille. Prêtez allégeance les gens, vous êtes famille. Prêtez allégeance les gens, vous êtes famille. C'est de la sorte. Mes protocoles initiatives sont pour le collectif nord-américain parce qu'on constitue un collectif de civilisation. Hein. Donc, on a fait le grand compromis linguistique au Québec. Les Québécois et Québécoises. Ben, on a fait le grand compromis linguistique, mais ça prend l'effort individuel. Hein. Parce que si moi, je le fais pas, puis si moi, j'encourage pas les gens, puis si je n'essaie pas de les apprendre un couple de mots, de paroles, des phrases, c'est sûr que ça prend l'effort individuel. Si je ne le fais pas moi-même, ça prend l'effort individuel. Moi, c'est par les arts, l'analyse, la théorie géopolitique, puis le rock'n'roll. Le rock'n'roll, j'ai des chansons en anglais puis en français, français, anglais, vice-versa. Des fois, j'entremêle un peu de mots. Là. Canadien ont perdu hier soir à Lego. Ah, pas pire. OK, on s'est rendu dans les séries, mais pas pour en critiquer non plus, là, parce que si je propose quelque chose, ben ça serait une proposition à place de critiquer des fois, tu sais, c'est proposer de quoi faire quelque chose pour amélioration. Puis encore ça, c'est une distinction avec moi en tant que neurodivergent de l'Asperger's. Nous, on va pas nécessairement prêter bien sûr, prêter, tu sais, comme voilà, tonnerre, c'est un poème, il y a de la poésie ici partout. À un moment donné, peut-être du rock'n'roll que moi aussi je compose. Mais bien sûr, c'est de la composition du rock'n'roll poétique que j'en fais moi-même. Fait que c'est des choses moi-même aussi que j'en fais, bien sûr. Et bien sûr, pour le dire, que l'Asperger, ça fait que nous, on va faire, bien sûr, d'une manière que ça va faire, bien sûr, d'une manière, bien sûr, de faire par des actions à place que, tu sais, la consolation verbale, là, tu sais, la consolation verbale, tu sais, la consolation verbale, tu sais, la consolation verbale, je peux m'excuser, là, j'ai fait plein d'erreurs, tu sais, je peux m'excuser, tu sais. Fait que c'est des choses moi-même que je dois faire de la visibilité, là, puis c'est... Bon, je souffre beaucoup, mais je vis avec cette condition, mais j'aime pas la violence, je vis en hypervigilance, j'ai vécu mon trompe, j'étais en maladie, puis j'étais en dépression suicidaire, là, fait que moi, cette dépression, en tant que suicidaire, puis dépression, bien sûr que ça fasse de cette dépression, puis être suicidaire, dans le fond, ça fait bien sûr qu'on a un certains points de référence, tu sais, parce qu'à cause de la trompe, de la référence, bien sûr, pour qu'on fasse dans les choses de l'encombrement, bien sûr, c'est des choses, bien sûr, qui m'ont fait, bien sûr, que j'ai survécu, bien sûr, fait que c'est des choses, bien sûr, qu'il faut que faut me faire, il faut qu'on fasse référence, puis il faut que j'avise les gens que j'ai cette condition de Asperger's, puis je leur explique un peu c'est quoi, fait que il y en a qui savent c'est quoi, mais juste que, par exemple, c'est pas des symptômes, encore une fois, les symptômes, c'est pour une maladie mentale, c'est des caractéristiques, tu sais, c'est des caractéristiques. c'est les caractéristiques. Fait que ces caractéristiques-là, ben, ils font bien sûr qu'on ait cette conversion de neurodivergence. Cette condition de neurodivergence fait qu'on fait bien sûr qu'on soit, on va s'approcher trop proche de certains gens dans la discussion. Comme tu sais, l'espace personnel de 2-3 pieds, là, de 1 mètre et quelques, là, 1 mètre. Nous, on va se faire, genre, on va s'approcher bien sûr on va s'approcher bien sûr de 1 pouce, 2 pouces, tellement proche du visage que les gens ils vont être intimidés, tu sais. Ils vont avoir l'intimidation. Fait que c'est des choses qu'il faut que je fasse la gestion. Dans la gestion moi-même, tu sais, dans le cas de l'autisme hautement fonctionnel, bien sûr, c'est quelque chose qu'ils vont faire de... Je vais attendre un peu pour causer. Ouais. Je vais passer de l'autre bord.
Merci.
Hello.
Don't say hi, man.
Oh, why can't I say hi?
Yeah, I agree with Ryan.
Bon, là, je suis rendu, là. Je peux passer là-dessus, là. Et voilà. On a passé parce que je le qu'il bien sûr leur propre affaire dans ici qui sont rendus sur la montagne, mais c'est des choses bien sûr que moi j'adore venir ici, donc c'est quelque chose que j'y tiens à cœur parce que je ne pouvais pas discuter trop parce que tu sais, je faisais un peu de chansons qui chantaient un peu à voix haute, fait que je dis ben je vais attendre pour passer pour discuter de l'Asperger, de l'autisme hautement fonctionnel, fait que c'est des choses bien sûr de cet autisme hautement fonctionnel que je dois faire un point de référence de mes caractéristiques bien sûr, fait que c'est des choses que je dois faire, que je suis étrange, bizarre, mais j'aime pas la violence, puis c'est des choses bien sûr qu'il faut que je vive bien sûr pour la vision bien sûr de ces choses bien sûr. Et bien sûr. Bon, on est rendu ici, fait qu'on va faire le tour. Puis on va aller chanter des cadences. Fait que là, l'Asperger, encore une fois, c'est une condition de neurodivergence. Je vis avec cette condition. Il faut que je fasse la gestion des caractéristiques, pas des symptômes, parce que des symptômes, ben, c'est comme des symptômes, là. C'est pas la même chose. C'est pas une maladie. Il faut avoir des symptômes. C'est des caractéristiques. Fait que ça se manifeste de se rapprocher trop proche des gens, dire 2-3 fois la même chose. Puis aussi, un caractéristique, c'est l'écolélia. Écolélia, ça vient du latin, tu sais. Écolélia, ça vient du latin, ça part de l'écho. L'écho, bien sûr, c'est l'écho, c'est comme 2 parallèles, tu sais. Fait que je vais répéter 2-3 fois la même chose, la phrase que quelqu'un dit. la phrase, bien sûr, que quelqu'un dit, bien sûr, d'être dans ces conséquences. Ici, un rendez-vous en 2142, rendez-vous en 2142, rendez-vous en 2142. Et c'est des choses comme ça, bien sûr, qui ont fait, bien sûr, c'est ces choses-là qui les ont faites, you know, fait que... Bon, fait que c'est des caractéristiques, c'est des caractéristiques. C'est des caractéristiques. C'est des caractéristiques, bien sûr, qui sont ici, bien sûr, que je dois faire la gestion moi-même aussi. Vous voyez quand même, là, c'est la rivière qui est... On peut la voir à travers les arbres, là, fait que c'est quand même quelque chose. Fait que vous savez ce que je vais faire? Je vais faire le tour. Fait que je vais aller de même, comme ça, par là, parce que des fois, on y va par là, mais je vais faire comme le serpent. Des fois, c'est mieux si je me passe comme ça, parallèlement. Eh ben, puis il faut que je garde la droite, tu sais, comme à la conduite. Fait que c'est des choses, bien sûr, moi-même, qu'il faut que je fasse moi-même. Fait que, bien sûr, là, l'Asperger's, être aspi, c'est pas être malade mental, c'est pas avoir une maladie mentale, c'est avoir une condition de neurodivergence. Je vis avec, comme je vis avec mes cicatrices, la perte de mémoire. Ben, pas que j'ai une bonne mémoire, mais c'est juste ancienne, vieille mémoire. Les caractéristiques de la vieille mémoire, c'est les caractéristiques de la vieille mémoire, tu sais. Les caractéristiques, ça veut dire de la vieille mémoire, tu sais. L'ancienne mémoire. L'ancienne mémoire. Ça veut dire que avant, tu sais, si vous me dites avant 2015, 2014, j'ai de la misère, c'est comme un blocage, comme l'amnésie rétrograde, là, mais des fois ça revient. Ça peut revenir avec le temps, ou même un trompe qui cause, puis encore une fois, après des années plus tard, il y a des cas que le trompe, encore une fois, un trompe crânien, ça peut faire la perte de mémoire, ou ça peut que la mémoire revient. Ben, je sais pas, écoutez, moi, ça me dérange pas. Honnêtement, je suis mort de la COVID en 2020, plus que 5 ans, je célèbre cette victoire. Je pensais vraiment que j'allais mourir de la COVID, tu sais. Je pensais vraiment que j'allais mourir de la COVID. Fait que je pensais vraiment que j'allais mourir de la COVID en 2020. En 2020, bien sûr, je pensais que j'allais mourir de la COVID. Et depuis, j'ai survécu. Je prends tout comme ça, c'est mon dernier jour. Je vis avec mon Asperger's, qui peut être des fois intense, qui peut être des fois super concentré, super dedans, mais je vis avec ça. Je suis androgyne pansexuel, j'aime le sadomasochisme. Il faut que, si vous êtes homme, femme, noir, blanche, arc-en-ciel, ben, il faut que vous ayez 18 ans, par exemple. Fait que je vous envoie, sinon je vous carte. Je vous carte comme... Oh, c'est les éperviers, regardez. That's the hawks. Là, c'est le signe. Oh, vous voyez comment ils don't look how they... Yep. Oh, j'ai vu mes éperviers. Bien sûr, quand j'ai vu mes éperviers, puis là, je les ai vus. Fait que là, ils sont contents. Je suis content. Là, je suis vraiment double bonne humeur. Moi, j'étais avant, mais quand même du stress financier, là, mais c'est quelque chose, bien sûr, qu'il faut que je fasse. Bon. Fait que l'Asperger, je vis avec cette condition, comme je vis avec mes cicatrices. Puis j'ai survécu la COVID en 2020. Plus que 5 ans, là. Ça fait plus que 5 ans, tu sais. Ça fait plus que 5 ans. Ça fait plus que 5 ans, bien sûr. And that's what it is. Et voilà. Donc, c'est quand même, en gros résumé, c'est ça qui arrive. Tu sais, c'est des choses, bien sûr, qui sont de ce point de convergence. Fait que, bien sûr, c'est cette... Là-bas, c'est le bâtiment qu'ils ont construit en 1900... avant 1976. Ça, c'est l'est de la ville. Et ça, c'est l'épervier qui s'en vient. C'est des éperviers, ça. Oui? En anglais, c'est hawks. C'est pour ça qu'ils volent de même, ils flattent pas leurs ailes. Ça, c'est le 8e, je viens de voir. C'est comme une gang. Ils sont beaux, hein? Je trouve ça beau, mais c'est des oiseaux de proie quand même. Fait que faut pas trop les... c'est des oiseaux de proie. Et voilà, c'est on là. Hey! Et voilà. Ils sont beaux, hein? Les éperviers de Hawks. Hey, ils vont venir nous voir. Hawks, Hawks, Hawks. Ils ont la tête rouge, rouge, rouge. They're red hawks, red-headed hawks. Faut pas les appeler si vous êtes pas. Faut que vous faites attention quand vous appelez les éperviers, par exemple, parce que c'est des oiseaux de proie, hein? Et they're birds of prey. Red-headed hawks. Des éperviers à tête rouge. Vous voyez comment ils volent, look how they just go about business. Wow. All coming back. Pop, pop, pop. Oh non, they're gone aussi. Vous pouvez les voir un peu, là, mais... Et voilà. Bon. Et ils sont là. C'est des oiseaux de proie, mais... C'est des choses, bien sûr, qu'il faut que je fasse moi-même. Fait que c'est des choses qu'il faut être dans vergence. Et c'est des choses, bien sûr, qu'on a de la difficulté à voir. Puis c'est des choses, bien sûr, qu'on a du plaisir pour les avoir sur la montagne. Puis c'est des choses, bien sûr, qu'il faut que moi je fasse dans mon point d'envergence, dans mon point de convergence ici, en étant sur la montagne. Et voilà, il est là, de Hawk, Hawk, Hawk. H-A-W-K! Hawk, 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 like it's a K. French and English. You got the bilingual hawks right there. C'est des éperviers bilingues. Fait que là, je vais pas tarder. Je vais discuter, bien sûr, de la TRD. Mais pour finir avec l'Asperger, c'est juste cette condition de neurodivergence. Ça fait que je vis avec cette condition de neurodivergence. Je vis avec être différent. Fait que je suis pas violent, j'aime pas la violence. Ben, j'ai tout ce que je vais pouvoir payer mon loyer, je vais pouvoir avoir ma facture d'électricité à l'Hydro-Québec, je l'ai payée. J'ai payé ma facture d'électricité à l'Hydro-Québec, j'ai payé ma facture d'électricité, j'ai payé mon loyer, mais j'adore venir dans la montagne ici. C'est ma deuxième maison. J'adore entendre la ville, la métropole, les boulangers, les pompiers, ceux qui changent les couches dans les garderies. Bien sûr, ceux qui font, bien sûr, du déménagement dans les écoles, bien sûr, qui font du déménagement dans les écoles. Puis, tu sais, à travers les ponts, les travailleurs publics qui changent les aqueducs, les travailleurs de l'Hydro-Québec, ceux qui changent les couches, les services de la sécurité, l'armée nationale, la défense. C'est le temps pour l'armée du dragon, pour prêter allégeance les jours pour la création de 2 institutions de partenariat public-privé, l'armée de la déesse qui danse, pour l'environnement, l'éducation, puis l'action, pour le nettoyage, puis faire l'éducation, bien sûr, parce que ça prend l'action individuelle dans l'environnement, comme j'en fais, ça fait bien des années sur la montagne. Puis bien sûr, dans une autre vie, j'étais né homme, des fois femme, des fois homme. Fait que bien sûr, aujourd'hui, je dois dire, bien sûr, que mon loyer est payé, bien sûr que ma facture d'électricité est payée. Puis c'est bien sûr, dans ce contexte d'ici, d'être ici, bien sûr, qu'il y a des touristes qui sont là, puis c'est ça, puis c'est des choses, bien sûr, que j'ai de point de convergence, et c'est des choses, bien sûr, qu'il faut que je fasse moi-même dans ce point de avertir aussi les touristes là, que les branches tombent ici des fois, comme il y a un certain danger, comme je vous ai montré dans plusieurs vidéos, hein, fait que faut être prudent. Fait que that's all sur l'Asperger, je fais partie de cette minorité de 0,44%, puis bien sûr, mon stress est financier, je suis différent, mais je fais des amis avec bénéfice maintenant. Des amis avec bénéfice maintenant, des amis avec bénéfice, that's all. Les pompiers, les boulangers, ceux qui changent les couches dans les garderies, salutations, les camionneurs, les travailleurs de l'Hydro-Québec, les travailleurs en santé, travailleuses en santé. Il faut que je leur donne un peu d'amour, puis des salutations avec ça. Fait que c'est toujours quelque chose que ça fait du bien. Fait que sur la montagne, tellement je vous encourage à venir, prendre de l'air, faire l'entraînement physique, explorer un peu la nature, puis on se nettoie les poumons avec les respirations profondes, internes, externes, les montagnes. Je vous chante pour ce que vous dansez. Jusqu'au côté de la Madeleine, dans les 17 régions, les plombiers, les boulangers, les soudeurs, les camionneurs, les travailleurs publics, les travailleurs en construction, s'il vous plaît, qu'on bâtisse ensemble sur la frontière Canada-États-Unis le Colisée du peuple impérial pour du Sportis in Perpetuitis 24 sur 24, puis bien sûr l'armée de la déesse qui danse, le temple de la déesse, déesse, avec le palais du peuple arc-en-ciel pour les neurodivergents et ma communauté LGBTQ, parce que j'en fais partie, je suis androgyne pansexuel, puis pour la pyramide du dragon, la pyramide du dragon, pour avoir écarlate rouge. Mais écarlate, c'est rouge dans le fond. Fait que là, je ne vais pas tarder de discuter, bien sûr, de la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, Je vais pas tarder de discuter de la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. Théorie de la refusion de la dette, ça prend la TRD pour bien sûr faire l'implémentation. Bien sûr, de qu'on est rendu aujourd'hui, l'année passée, on a payé 46,5 milliards d'intérêts seulement sur la dette publique. Fait qu'on est à voir d'un point d'avoir d'une urgence des finances publiques. Des finances publiques, là, on est en train d'avoir un effondrement. Peut-être hier, c'était le dernier jour de faire les taxes, puis moi-même, j'ai survécu. L'année passée, j'ai survécu avec moins d'11 000. L'année passée, j'ai survécu avec moins de 11 000. L'année passée, j'ai survécu avec moins de 11 000. Tu sais. L'année passée, j'ai survécu avec moins de 11 000. 11 000 $. Tu sais. C'est des choses comme ça, mais bien sûr, j'ai survécu avec moins de 11 000 $ l'année passée. Fait que bien sûr, pour avoir le point de convergence, c'est la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, puis c'est urgent. Je dois dire, là, c'est urgent. C'est urgent. Il y a une urgence, là. L'année de finances publiques. C'est possible que l'effondrement commence déjà aujourd'hui. C'est possible que l'effondrement commence aujourd'hui, mais que je me rende chez nous cet après-midi pour prendre le compostage. Après cette marche, méditation, d'entraînement physique, méditation aussi, salutation, rock'n'roll, ou plombier, boulanger d'un boulanger, les camionneurs, les infirmières, les docteurs, tous ceux qui sont en train de faire un peu d'apprentissage du français avec les bécherelles ou en lisant un peu de l'heure de conte, les histoires aux enfants, l'heure de conte, l'histoire aux enfants de l'heure de conte. Fait que c'est des choses, bien sûr, de même qu'il faut que je me prononce. Et bon pour dire, bien sûr, dans ce point de divergence, que la TRD, ça sort des différents, puis ça sort que c'est mon cerveau qui est différent. Fait que j'ai de la misère dans certaines choses, mais dans d'autres choses, je suis excellent, super bon et très apte, car je suis moins capable dans d'autres choses. Et bien sûr, c'est des choses que je vis avec. Et donc, la TRD, ça sort de ce paradoxe, la théorie de la refusion de la dette. En dedans de ma TRD, ça contient la théorie d'intégration monétaire. Et encore une fois, c'est la seule et unique solution qui peut nous sauver, sauver. D'où qu'on est rendu au point d'aujourd'hui que l'année passée, on a payé 46,5 milliards d'intérêts sur la dette publique. En 2020-2021, le montant, c'était 20,3 milliards. 20,3 milliards. Ça a doublé à 46, plus que double. Parce que 20,3 double, là, ça a été 46. L'année passée, c'était 46,5 milliards qu'on a payé sur la dette publique. Le montant, ça a sauté de 20,3 en 2020-2021. Fait qu'imaginez-vous, là, que le montant, c'est plus que le double. C'est plus que le double. Fait que ça a été plus que double. Parce que 20,3 double, ça aurait été 46,5. Fait que juste à retenir ça, sur la dette publique, l'intérêt sur la dette publique, ben, que c'est évidemment, notre économie n'a pas doublé. L'économie canadienne n'a pas doublé. Fait que c'est pour ça que je dis, que je me prononce que c'est la seule solution ou quelque chose qui ressemble ma solution. Ou quelque chose qui ressemble ma solution. Ou quelque chose qui ressemble ma solution. Fait que la théorie de la refusion de la dette. Et ça, c'est mon gratte-ciel préféré, la pyramide qui est là. Et mon gratte-ciel préféré, la pyramide qui est là. Et mon gratte-ciel préféré, la pyramide qui est là. Et mon gratte-ciel préféré de la métropole dans cette vie puis dans une autre. 50-50, messieurs, madame. L'entraînement physique que je vous encourage à faire tous avec des belles couleurs. What, à lever. J'adore. Ça, je suis tout en accord avec ça. Eh bien, on y va. On fait, bien sûr, dans cette convergence. Puis, on va discuter, bien sûr, la TRD. Théorie de la refusion de la dette, c'est ma théorie. Et bien sûr, en dedans de la TRD, dans la TRD, ça contient la théorie d'intégration monétaire. Ce qui est la théorie que les Européens ont fait de l'implémentation. Fait que je vous l'explique maintenant. Parce qu'encore une fois, on était au point d'avoir un effondrement financier des finances publiques, là, un effondrement des finances publiques est sur l'horizon. Qu'évidemment et parallèlement, comme un individu citoyen, citoyenne, si la dette, l'intérêt qu'il paye sur la dette, ça saute de 156 à 333, parce que 156 double, c'est bien sûr 312. Qu'est-ce qui s'est passé avec l'intérêt? Seulement l'intérêt de la dette publique, c'est plus que double en 3 ans. Puis oui, à cause de la coronavirus, le COVID que moi-même j'ai survécu, puis j'essaie le plus possible de garder les protocoles de sanitation publique par faire du nettoyage des mains avec du désinfectant, de l'antibactérien. Fait que c'est bien sûr des choses comme ça que moi-même je dois le faire. Fait que bon, let's go. Oui, la TRD, théorie de la diffusion de la dette. C'est ma solution, quelque chose qui ressemble. C'est possible qu'on ait un effondrement des finances publiques. Mon oncle Carney, qu'est-ce qu'on va couper? On va falloir qu'on coupe. Comme un individu, si l'intérêt double qu'il paye, elle lui paye, sans que le salaire double. Sans que le salaire double. C'est ça le problème, sans que le salaire double. Si le salaire double pas, il faut qu'elle, lui, citoyen double. Notre économie, là, n'a pas doublé, là, l'économie canadienne, loin d'avoir doublé, tu sais. Fait que c'est ça le problème. C'est comme moi-même, si j'aurais été à payer plus que double l'intérêt que j'ai payé en 2020, 2021, là, l'année passée, ça aurait été un désastre, là. C'est la même chose pour l'individu. Qu'est-ce qu'on va couper, Carney? Oncle Carney? La police, la GRC, la sanitation publique, la sanitation publique, la sanitation publique, bien sûr, la sanitation publique. On va devoir couper quelque chose, man. On va devoir couper quelque chose. La sanitation publique, la santé publique, c'est ça qu'on coupe. On va couper quelque chose parce que l'intérêt, ça suffit. Là, c'est ça le problème, c'est pas la dette, c'est l'intérêt qui a plus que doublé là, à cause de la coronavirus. Là, évidemment, en tant que citoyen aussi, si ça arrive, c'est le même principe qui s'applique. C'est ça le problème majeur. Pour ça, je dis la TRD ou quelque chose qui ressemble. Fait qu'on va... Ma TRD, ça contient la théorie d'intégration monétaire. Fait qu'on va prendre toute la dette publique-privée, mon 10 000, ton 10 000, son 10 000, son 10 000, ça 10 000, 10 000 de côte à côte, 10 000 de côte à côte, 10 000 de côte à côte, 10 000 de côte à côte. Moi, j'ai 10 000 $ de dette, fait que mon 10 000, ton 5 000, que ça soit combien que ça soit. Fait que toute cette dette-là, bien sûr, toute cette dette-là, on va la prendre de côte à côte, Fait que mon 10 000, ton 10 000, bien sûr, ben, tu peux avoir plus ou moins. On va ramasser toute la dette publique-privée du Canada. On va faire de côte à côte, on va faire une refusion ensemble. Fait que cette refusion, bien sûr, ça va être un parallèle. Bien sûr qu'on voit les éperviers qui sont dans le ciel avec les hawks. Fait que toute la dette publique-privée, les hawks. Here's the hawks. C'est des éperviers, ça. Des hawks. H-A-W-K. Hawk, H-A-W-K. Hawk, H-A-W-K. Hawk, H-A-W-K. Fait qu'on va prendre toute la dette publique-privée, incluant mon 10 000, on va ramasser de côte à côte. Mon 10 000, ton 10 000, de côte à côte. Tout cet argent-là, on va le mettre ensemble. Tout cet argent-là, on va le mettre ensemble. 10 000. Mon 10 000, ton 5 000, que ce soit de côte à côte. Toute la dette publique ainsi que privée. Tout cet argent-là, il faut que ça soit binational parce que les États-Unis sont dans le même problème financier du point de vue public-privé. Fait que, il faut que ça soit simultanément ma TRD faire l'implémentation avec les États-Unis. Fait que toute la dette publique privée du Canada, on va faire la conversion dans la devise des États-Unis, on va faire l'addition avec l'argent des États-Unis. Tout cet argent-là, on va le mettre ensemble, on va le mettre ensemble, on va le mettre ensemble. Cet argent-là, on va le mettre ensemble. Et bien sûr, on va faire la création d'une nouvelle monnaie, le UI, qui va avoir la valeur du dollar des États-Unis. U point unité, A point échange ou point universel. U point unité, A point échange ou point universel. U point unité, point échange ou point universel. L'unité d'échange universelle aura la valeur du dollar des États-Unis. La valeur du dollar des États-Unis. Et bien sûr, cet argent-là, on va faire la refusion ensemble. On va le mettre dans un même paquet. Fait que cet argent-là, l'unité d'échange universelle, c'est ça l'argent, dans le fond, le dollar canadien ou le dollar des États-Unis, ça sert pour une unité d'échange. C'est une unité d'échange universelle. Fait que tout cet argent-là, on va le mettre ensemble. On va avoir la valeur du dollar des États-Unis, on va mettre un taux d'intérêt maximum de 10 000. On va plus pouvoir avoir plus que 10% d'intérêt après ça. Bien sûr, puis avec ça, faire l'implémentation de ma théorie de la refusion de la dette, on va pouvoir rebâtir l'infrastructure du collectif nord-américain de l'Amérique du Nord. On va faire un passeport commun ainsi qu'une monnaie commune. On va finir avec la frontière. On va se mettre à diriger la sécurité de côte à côte, côte à côte. On va bâtir plus de centrales hydro-Québec. On va faire plus de zones de plantation, plus de zones de plantation. On va bâtir le palais du peuple impérial pour le Colisée du peuple nord-américain impérial pour le sport à perpétuité. On va financer les gens à l'entraînement physique. On va rebâtir l'infrastructure du collectif nord-américain, du Québec, du Canada, des États-Unis. Les ponts, P-O-N-T-S, les ponts, les aqueducs, les autoroutes, financement massif. Financement massif. On va bâtir plus de centrales hydro-Québec. On va financer les gens au tourisme, financer les gens à l'entraînement physique, financer les gens au tourisme, à l'entraînement physique. On va faire, bien sûr, bâtir la pyramide écarlate rouge. Écarlate rouge. Pyramide du dragon, la maison du dragon, pyramide écarlate, c'est rouge. Bâtir d'autres centrales d'Hydro-Québec, financer les gens à faire l'entraînement physique. Et bien sûr, on va faire bien du bien commun. On va financer le tourisme parce que ça fait du bien pour la santé mentale. C'est quelque chose que, moi, ça m'a fait sortir de ma dépression en 2017, ça fait plus que 7 ans. J'ai traversé le Canada de côte à côte. Cet événement, ça m'a complètement changé ma vie. Depuis, bien sûr, cet événement, ça m'a fait changer ma vie. Puis, bien sûr, depuis cet événement qui m'a fait changer ma vie, j'ai établi un esprit de corps solide avec le Québec, le Canada. Puis, j'ai établi un esprit de corps solide avec le Québec, le Canada. Puis, bien sûr, j'ai sorti de ma dépression, mais avec les États-Unis aussi. Puis c'est pour ça qu'il faut qu'on fasse simultanément, il faut qu'on fasse la création de ces deux institutions de partenariat public-privé, l'Armée du Dragon pour l'environnement, sur la Ligue de danse l'Amérique du Nord intégrée pour l'environnement, l'éducation environnementale, puis l'action, le nettoyage, comme j'en fais depuis des années en tant qu'individu, ça prend l'action individuelle, puis ainsi que le collectif, puis l'Armée du Dragon, soit la Ligue, les Légions de défense de l'Amérique du collectif nord-américain, pour les 50 États des États-Unis, plus nous, les 10 provinces et 3 territoires. Pour les 63, les 10 provinces et 3 territoires. Pour les 63, pour la part fonctionnant par le principe de la SSD, ça veut dire la sécurité, service et défense. Fonctionnant seulement et par le principe de la SSD, par et pour la SSD, sécurité, service et défense, avec les éperviers et les corbeaux. Prêtez allégeance, les gens vous êtes famés. Fait qu'il n'y a pas d'autre solution que la TRD. Il faut faire aussitôt la TRD qui contient la théorie d'intégration monétaire. Et bien sûr, je vous encourage à faire l'entraînement physique. On va pouvoir financer les gens à l'entraînement physique, financer les gens au tourisme, bâtir les deux institutions de partenariat public-privé, rebâtir l'infrastructure. On va faire bien du bien commun. Public-privé, parce que mon rêve se manifeste comme le royaume de la déesse qui danse est fondamentalement un appel à un partenariat public-privé. Quand je dis prêter allégeance, les gens vous êtes famille, des amis avec bénéfice seulement, ben, c'est pour l'environnement, c'est pour le collectif de l'Amérique du Nord. On n'a pas le choix, d'où qu'on est rendu maintenant, on n'a pas le choix de faire l'implémentation de ma TRD. Fait que c'est ça. On n'a pas le choix de faire l'implémentation de ma TRD, faire l'implémentation de ma théorie de la refusion de la dette, la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. On est rendu à un point d'avoir possible, c'est l'horizon, c'est possible, ça commence dès aujourd'hui. Ça commence dès aujourd'hui, c'est un paradoxe parce que c'est le 1er mai des travailleurs. Fait que cette marche de danse rock'n'roll pour les travailleurs qui ont fait moins de 33 000, moi aussi j'ai survécu, fait que moins de 11 000 l'année passée. Hey, let's go. Dragon Army, we get ready for the Dragon Army cadence. Here, build the pyramids, crimson, scarlet, red, right here. Something from there to there. Scarlet, crimson pyramid. Face to face with the Forgotten Goddess temple here. Let's build it together for the Dragon Army headquarters and the Dancing Goddess Army headquarters. Face to face. As one, let's go. Get ready for the Dragon Army cadence. For the Dragon Army cadence. For the Dragon Army cadence. We gotta go for the cadence. We gotta go ready to go. We gotta go, hear me roar. Let's go. We're gonna do 44 push-ups and get for that cadence. Get ready, push-ups. Where we're gonna do push-ups right here. Oh yeah, get ready for the cadence. Dragon Army cadence. Do some push-ups. Go HYDRATE. Get ready. Property of the Dragon Army for the SSD. Let's go for the farmers. Marching for the farmers and the butchers and the bakers. For the plumbers, electricians. Let's go, give me some cadence. Give it broken up and down. Push-ups. We channel the aggression with push-ups and some hugs. We channel the aggression with push-ups and some hugs. We channel the aggression with push-ups and some hugs. We channel the aggression with push-ups and some hugs. We go left and we go right. Clap the hands, you know we're tight. Let's go, Dragon Army. Sing some rock and roll for the truckers on the road. Let's go, Dragon Army. Sing some rock and roll for the dragons on the road. For the truckers on the road, let's go. Sing some rock and roll for the truckers on the road. Let's go, we got 11 plus 11. Gonna get to 44 for the 44 tunnels. Let's go, push-ups. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think that's 11. If not, that one is. Let's go for the push-ups. Sing some of that cadence. For the cadence, for the bakers. For the plumbers, electricians. For the snow that is gone. Winter come after the autumn. Let's go for the farmers, daycare workers changing diapers. Let's go for the daycare workers changing diapers. Let's go for the daycare workers changing diapers. Bakers and the butchers. Bakers and the butchers. Gotta go, ready to go. For some more push-ups, we drop. Drop it low for more push-ups. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and one more. Oh yeah. 11 and more. Gotta get it for the go. Gotta get it for you know. Left or right in steel toes. Left or right in steel toes. Left or right in steel toes. Gotta get it for you know. Gotta get it for you know. And we gotta go left or right in steel toes. Gotta go for ready. You're ready for the fast food workers flipping burgers. 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 Gotta give me some workers. May 1st. Let's go. Are we done? Some more. 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Ooh. Let's go, because we did a little bit of slow ones. 1, 2. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, that felt good. That felt really good. So now we're going to go cadence up. And that was a good workout. Here, you know. Gotta sing a little bit of that cadence. Cadence on the go. What you knew, ready to snow. Gotta get it for the doers. And the butchers and the lovers. And those thinking gotta do. Gotta love and I see you. I see you. I see the sun, that's the shining. Gotta love it, that's the shining. For the love ready to do. For the do ready to do. And for the kisses I got plenty. Some of my dragons are black. Some of my dragons are white. Some of my dragons are rainbow. Some of my dragons are white. Some of my dragons are red. Some of my dragons are black. None of my dragons are born a dragon. None of the dragons are born a dragon. None of my dragons are born a dragon. After midnight I'm a woman. After midnight I'm a woman. Gotta live it for today. Marching electricians, that's the prey. Gotta do ready to love. Gotta do ready to bake. Gotta do ready to shake. 1 foot to the left, 1 foot to the right. You know that we in line. Stand in line, stand in formation. Stand in line, stand in formation. Some of my dragons are black. Some of my dragons are white. None of my dragons are born a dragon. Although we the rainbow dragon, General Cuckold. Who am I? You answer when I say who am I. You say the greatest cuckold in the universe. Who am I? The greatest cuckold in the universe. Also rainbow dragon. Who am I? And I answer who am I? You say rainbow dragon, greatest cuckold in the universe. Who am I? Rainbow dragon, General Cuckold, greatest cuckold in the universe. Gotta go, ready to go. Gotta go ready to blow. Electricians, plumbers, workers. And for those train conductors. Gotta get it for the do. Gotta see up and do. Gotta go ready to love. Truckers, electricians, plumbers, bakers. Truckers, electricians, plumbers, bakers. Gotta go ready to do. Gotta go ready to be. Yeah. See. Enough. And let's go for the hydration, and let's go for the hydration. Dragon Army Day, my family, no? Dragon Army Day, my family. Pledge your allegiance. Dragon Army DGA, 50-50 androgynous, sexual artist, athlete, philosopher. Gonna go for that and a little bit of that hydration. Hydration. Gotta go on the steps. Gotta go, that's a yet. And you know we rock the sound. Dragon Army cadence loud. Loud or soft. Oh, there it is. Now get a little bit of hydration, man. See for tourism here, so that's what it is with that, and that's how it is, you know. We gotta get it on the go. And we gotta go by here. And that's this side here, like this. And here's a nice echo of the Dragon Army. For the 63, 10 provinces, 50 states, 3 territories. Hey, for the lovers. Love the butchers and the bakers. Love the nurses and the doctors. Electricians and the plumbers. And we cannot be bought, we cannot be bribed, we cannot be bought, we cannot be bribed, we cannot be bought, we cannot be bribed, we cannot be bribed, we cannot be bought. Gotta go ready to squat. We cannot be bought, we cannot be squat. We cannot be bought. We cannot be bribed. We cannot be bought. Isn't it? How fragile things can be. At any minute, it could be a surprise attack. Of stripe doctrine. Preemptive strike. else can be. Everything is fragile, you know. Here we go, favorite skyscraper, favorite city, 50 stays there. That's how we're gonna go get it with that. That's how we gotta go get something in my eye, you know. So that's what we gotta be doing, you know. So we gotta get doing with that. So it's something which we gotta be doing, you know. We gotta be doing on that. And that's how we gotta get loving. That's how we gotta get loving on the go, you know. Truckers, farmers, butchers, bakers, nurses, electricians, and the doctors, and the train conductors. Gotta go for the down, for the up, the sound. You can go out. We love our firefighters. Get back home safe and somebody make them some good loving, otherwise send them to me. Love our firefighters, love our butchers, love our bakers, love our doctors, love our truckers, electricians and the plumbers. Electricians and the plumbers. So I gotta go this year on my personal monkeys. What can you do? What can you do? Arch. What can you do? Let's go, cadence continues.
Yeah.
Let's go, get it down on the low cadence. I gotta lower the volume a bit for my fellow auntie citizens here, and that's how we're gonna get doing with that. And so we're gonna go step by step. Now we're going south. So coming from the west, from the north, coming from the north and from the south, you know. That's what it is for the SSD, and that's what it is for the security service and defense, coast to coast, ocean to ocean. So we're gonna get stepping and get ready for that loving on the side, you know. Let's go for the plumbers. For the plumbers and the butchers and the bakers and the nurses and the doctors. Truckers, electricians, plumbers, you know.
Bravo.
Gotta go on the door and gotta do now, you know.
He was asking me a time question, and I told him to answer.
Ah, love. That's all I like to see, man. Love. Yeah, man. Heck out. I like to see people. Yeah, man. I like to matchmake, you know? I like to matchmake, man. I like to see couples, you know? Yeah, man. I like to see people flirting a bit with consent, you know, and making out. Yeah.
So, the
Yes, gives you some hope, man, you know? Yeah. I'm just looking for friends who benefits me, you know, because I'm gonna propose again to get married, but I like to see people making out and flirting, and I like to matchmake, you know. But me, you're black, white, or man, woman, but you gotta be 18 plus, you know. You gotta be 18 plus, you know. You gotta be 18 plus. Twist my hips like this. I love to see people working out, training, and kissing, making out. And this is my second home, my favorite place to come. That water is actually, you can drink that, but you don't need to because we got the public workers who did the work, but that's what it is. But this is clean water. Sometimes I drink it below there, but of course I have my own water now, but you can do it, you know. If you want to do it, you know. But in theory, it's clear. You have to filter it a bit with your hands, but because it's running water, right? So it's running water which comes. But imagine just to build all that, first to have clean water upstairs. So water there, but it's quite something, eh? Civilization is a privilege, and here when I come, you know, it reminds me so many things. You know, I love coming here, and I don't know if they were before together or whatever, but it seemed like it was two guys, two girls, they started flirting, and actually it brings me some joy, you know, if they're, for the summer's coming, and I like to matchmake people, you know. Me, you want to do love with me, I played rainbow, friends with benefits only, black, white, men and women, but you gotta be 18, otherwise I'm gonna card you, I guess, because I think consent age is 16, but that's not something which consequently I take into considerations, you know. So let's go, last cadence. As we go down, we go north and we go south. We go north and we go south. We go round and round about. Give me some love, black and white and rainbow. Dragging on me cadence, here we go. Gotta do, gotta see, gotta be, gotta do. Let's go. Dragging on the cadence. Where there's a light, there's a shadow going down on the south. Where there's a light, there's a shadow. Where there's a light, there's a shadow. Where there's a light, there's a shadow. I don't know, ready to go. Yes, that gives me hope, man. I'm gonna check that water and Let's see. Does it work? Oh no, it's not working. What I have in the backpack. That's it. Dragonomic cadence. Finish it with the last cadence, saying goodbye. And now I have a few goodbye for today because I'm coming back for the throne of love, justice, freedom, and the dancing goddess in the Dragon Kingdom headquarters right here. The dancing goddess in the Dragon Kingdom headquarters atop the mountain, Mount Royal. We gotta get it for the butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, grocery store clerks, all those involved in the production, distribution of food. We gotta get it for the go, and we gotta get for the cadence. Last cadence, but for today only. Probably the Dragonomic. Now we go on the mountain. We see it for the 63. Dragonomy. Some of my dragons are black. Some of my dragons are white. Some of my dragons are rainbow. Some of my dragons are rainbow. None of my dragons be born a dragon. None of my dragons be born a dragon. None of my dragons be born a dragon. Area, man. That's what it is, man. Love, you know? Love with that. The son, my Pope, the king.